It's one extreme to the next for the cars and stars of Season 6 of the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series on iRacing. From overseas to the Monza circuit, international racing last Monday to now tonight, back to the United States in Richmond, Virginia, where we head to what they call America's premier short track, where plenty of our drivers are going to get their first taste of what this track is all about for round number 10 of 21 for Season 6 of the E-Motorsports Network on iRacing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live production here on our YouTube channel. Yet another round here for Season 6 of NASCAR Racing, again for round number 10. We are in Richmond, Virginia at the Richmond Raceway for the 4th annual RepuLinks 150. And welcome to the broadcast booth, of course. The voice you're hearing right now, Regan McCauley, on the left of the graphic. And to my other side here, he's been here since the very beginning in Jordy Carraher. Jordy, as I said earlier, of course, overseas to Monza for our second and final international race of this season. Again, there was Montreal, Canada with Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and then there was the Monza circuit in Monza, Italy. And now here we're going right from a road course overseas right back to the United States to some good old short track racing in between round number 9 and 10. So lots of back and forth here, completely different discipline for all these drivers here tonight. And thinking about what happened back in Monza last Monday, a lot of bizarre moments, including one of the weirdest crashes we've probably ever seen in a very long time. Certainly tonight's going to play a very interesting, I'm sure, especially too knowing that there's some crucial championship points on the line and also a wild underdog battle that we are about to anticipate here for the in-season tournament presented by Forked River Brewing Company.
Yeah, not to mention, like you said before, all left turns tonight, which I'm sure the lion's share of the field will be happy about. Yeah, as you said, completely different ends of the spectrum track-wise here, and it's, looking every bit as chaotic practice-wise right now. So
yes,
we'll see how everything goes as, now you start to feel the heat a little bit more with each passing week, especially if you're right on the fringes of the playoff picture.
Yeah, especially only 5 regular season races remaining until our 6th annual Earl Ross Cup playoffs get underway at Bristol Motor Speedway in early August. And yeah, you'd think for a track like Richmond here tonight, maybe, well, I'm not saying I'm underestimating it necessarily. Commentators jinx could completely come out of this conversation right now, but tonight might be a little bit of a, kind of a tone back in a way if we're looking at the next 4 races where there's a back and forth between, there's an Indianapolis, there's a Chicago Street Course, a Darlington, and then a Watkins Glen to wrap it up. So again, not underestimating tonight. It could be a part of that 4-race stretch coming up where things really get wild.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd necessarily associate Richmond with an easy night, though. Like, usually,
Yes.
the short tracks provide their fair share of chaos regardless of the venue, so wouldn't necessarily be surprised to see not shenanigans per se, but, maybe a little bit of a stop-start evening at points, but we'll see how the guys settle in.
Yeah, and we'll be getting our first taste here of short track racing, of course, with the recent iRacing Next Gen overhaul, a lot closer to the real life counterparts. So we're going to see how that all plays out. We did catch a glimpse of it back at Charlotte a couple weeks ago. Then there was Monza, and now we're going to get a short track edition of that. But before we get into all the action tonight, of course, we will of course begin with a recap of last week's race at Monza, the Pizza Main 180, in our Valvoline pre-race show. Once again, thanks to Valvoline Instant Oil Change for being the sponsor of our pre-race show, post-race show, and also the team standings for Season 6 of the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series on iRacing. And yet again, this driver once again into victory lane out of Salisbury, North Carolina, the 00 of sophomore and reigning championship runner-up Jordan Kalinian, highest winningest driver thus far this year, now at 4 victories, 2 wins within 3 weeks, Martinsville and Monza. So, yeah, another dominant performance by him. There had to be a couple of hard charger instances in stages 2 and 3 for him at Monza last Monday, but nonetheless, no problem. He got the job done.
It never especially felt in doubt, did it? I mean, we saw that level of dominance at Montreal previously, save for an early incident in stage 3, so we know what Jordan Kalinian's capable of on, well, any track type really, but especially road courses. That's where he seems to shine. And yeah, when all was said and done, it felt fairly academic by the end of the night. And as you say, it's checkered flag number 4 on the season for him already.
And career win number 12 as well, one underneath Scott Bailey. So trying to get back into kind of a tie with him there in their chase to catch Corbin McCauley. First all-time in victories across the series since we first began back in 2020. He has 20 at the moment. Of course, going into tonight, he will look to remain undefeated at Richmond. But again, going to get into a little bit more of that later on. Here are the full race results from the Pizza Main 180 at Autodromo Nazionale Monza, the Monza circuit in Monza, Italy. That was round number 9 of 21 on the season. Jordan Kalinian dominating this one. Third RepuLinks pole of the, fastest lap from RepuLinks, and then he also got the pole. Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue pole number 3 on the year. Led 21 of 31 laps. 2 stage wins now have him at 8 across 9 races, which is 5 more than the second best driver, if memory serves correctly. That would be Scott Bailey. So it continues to be another great performance there from the 00. We saw the return of Andy Hurdle for 519 Atlantic Motorsports. He missed Charlotte. Claimed a 3rd consecutive top 5 in terms of his starts, and it was his first podium finish since round number 2 back at Auto Club. Raymond Handyman on the podium, back-to-back finishes on the podium, 2nd and then 3rd between Charlotte and Monza. He has yet to claim a top 10 finish that has not been within the top 5, and of course having 2 less starts than everyone else that has started every single race thus far this year. Of course, Handyman wasn't with us until round 3 at Homestead, Miami. He's already caught his way up in the overall points and also all the way up to Blake Thronberg, the current leading rookie in the Rookie of the Year standings and overall points as well. Ty Higginbottom, back-to-back fourth place runs, continues to soar up the standings. Darcy Ford, first top 5 finish of the season, his first top 10 since the GTR 250 at Daytona. And looking through the rest of these top 10 results and the rest of the way, Jordy, what do you have?
Well, I mean, I think the eyes have to dart toward the very bottom of the board, don't they? Like, that's might have, outside of Jordan Kalinian winning, that feels like kind of the headline of last week, especially the visuals associated with that. But,
yes,
I mean, this week, he's pretty much King Corbin when it comes to Richmond. So if ever there was a time for him to get his wheels back underneath him, so to speak, this would be the week.
Yeah, and again, the driver from Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, reigning series champion, only finishes a 16th, 10th, and 18th in his last 3 races. So trying to get back to a run of where he had back-to-back second place finishes at Atlanta and Texas, kind of get back into that sort of rhythm. If there's any place to kind of get things back going and return to that form he had last season en route to his first Earl Ross Cup championship, tonight is the night. And for someone like Mario Ercolani as well, I wanted to shout him out as well. 3rd top 10 finish within the last 4 races. And I know that whenever we get into the driver's standings here, you can notice he is starting to sneakily make his way up the points and towards around that playoff bubble where there's 4 drivers within 10 points of each other for that 12th and final playoff spot. Of course, this graphic is a little visually a little different than how you may want to actually count it. Of course, the drivers with a lock beside their name, those are who you count first based on the fact that they've won the season thus far. And then you count all the drivers still in white, no yellow, no lock. They have yet to win a race this season. You count them all up. It's Adam Wilson currently in the final playoff spot for the Earl Ross Cup playoffs by 4 points over veterans Mike Marini, and then Darcy Ford at 9 points back, and another point behind him being Justin Belmonte, who is just a couple less starts than those guys. But again, back to the rookie Mario Ercolani, like he's starting to get up there. I wonder if he's starting to peak at the right time.
Could be, and who knows? Maybe the in-season tournament and the momentum that he's gained from that, maybe that's kind of having an overall effect on his rise up the standings here. But obviously, this isn't a year with 16 playoff drivers, so he's still got a bit of a long ways to go.
Indeed, you do. So again, there's that close bubble right there to that final playoff spot. Of course, the rest of the way throughout the regular season at this point, it will more than likely come down to a showdown points-wise in the driver's standings. Moving on over to the team standings, where it continues to be Tornado Alley leading the way. They did lose 3 points to GTR after Monza, but regardless, we're kind of back to their form that they had last year, dominating their way to a team championship for the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series in Season 5. Hyperdrive took a significant drop to 5th place. It was 519 Atlantic Motorsports moving up to 3rd thanks to solid finishes by Andy Hurdle and Darcy Ford. Again, thanks to Valvoline Instant Oil Change for powering our team standings. In the manufacturer standings, Toyota up by 11 more points after Monza over Ford, who has re-overtaken Chevrolet for 2nd now by 40 points. It keeps being an exchange right there between Ford and Chevrolet as Toyota continues to get away in their own zip code for the manufacturer standings. And then, of course, Rookie of the Year I mentioned earlier between Blake Thronberg and Raymond Hanneman. Only 12 points separating the two of them. And again, the driver out of Ottawa, Ontario there in 2nd place. Only 2 less starts than those other 3 guys. But the finishes that he's been putting on, the performances he's had, it's no wonder he's been catching up and he is really making a difference.
Yeah, I mean, the proof is in the pudding in terms of the results here, right? Like, we've seen the caliber of driver that Raymond Hanneman is pretty much from the first time he started his engine within the series. I mean, very quickly into victory lane, a few weeks ago, and it's just been staying consistently toward the front ever since, pretty much. And yeah, that's what's got him on Blake Thronberg's heels here. So this is another interesting little storyline developing as we get into the back half of our regular season.
So, yeah, there's this between Thronberg and Hanneman, and then Mario Ercolani's making a story for himself in another situation here. We have finally reached the championship finale for the Forked River Brewing Company in-season tournament. Jordy, who saw this coming? 8th-ranked Mason Tomlinson against 19th-ranked Mario Ercolani to do it out tonight in the RepuLinks 150.
I would, to be generous, I would say maybe 2 people, the drivers themselves. But realistically, the way things were laid out, certainly more of a Cinderella story on the right-hand side of the bracket. But, Ercolani's found his form when he's needed it. And, Tomlinson has been he benefited a little bit early in the in-season tournament from absences, but he's also performed when it counts. Namely, it was Ercolani who was overtaking Mangrum last week. So, guys, both of them performing when they need to, and that's what's got them here with a shot at a bit of a reward.
And the thing is, every week we're always usually going on and on about our guys like Jordan Kalini and CD Mangrum, Corbin McCauley, and Scott Bailey, week after week contending for victories and strong finishes. But this is one of those situations where we are seeing the underdogs prevail and put on a show for themselves in some capacity, and that also applies as well to that playoff bubble down there for that 12th and final spot as well. So it is good to see. Another driver I want to shout out because of a recent milestone at Monza last Monday night. The number 12 of Mike Marini out of Thunder Bay, Ontario has become the first driver in series history to reach 115 career starts.
Yeah, one of our day one OGs. He's stuck with us, and I mean, he's proven himself over the course of those 6 seasons. He's finally kind of getting his feet back under him on the iRacing side of things. I know he's been in the picture, but not by his standards from the console days. But he's a guy that he can knock on the door pretty much whenever. So the fact that he's still in it and competing for a playoff spot this year, especially only a few points out as it stands right now, I'm looking forward to seeing what he does over the next 5 races, and maybe race 120 will be the one that sees him get back into the playoffs.
And still trying to get over what happened in the GTR 250, eh?
Yeah. He's had a couple of unfortunate runs, well, at Daytona, both, oddly enough, whether it was the 250 or the 200 a couple of years back as well. I know he was in contention for that, but still very much in the thick of it when it matters. So we'll see what he's got for the next few races. I mean, if it is the next 115, then that means we're doing something right.
Indeed, and he is currently on a 3-race top 10 streak as well, so there is plenty of momentum built up for him in the battle for a playoff spot in the 6th annual Earl Ross Cup playoffs. And this next graphic, you will literally not be surprised by one bit.
Well, I mean, overall,
to an extent.
No.
To an extent.
Overall, no. But again, I've alluded to Corbin McCauley's overall dominance at Richmond over the years. So not necessarily the biggest surprise, just pure speed-wise that Kalinian's there. But yeah, we'll have to see I believe he's the only guy who's won at Richmond would be the number 17. So we'll see if that changes or if that holds.
Yeah, of course, he is a 2-time short track winner, having wins at Bristol last season and then Martinsville earlier this year. So in season 6, looking to go 2 for 2 on these short tracks. But the thing is, at Richmond, this is his first time racing here with us within the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series. So based on recent success and momentum, not a surprise, but considering it is his first race, your point does very much stand, Jordy. So again, congratulations to the 00 Jordan Kalinian on winning the Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue Pole Award. As we head trackside, qualifying has just wrapped up. Again, obviously the graphic was up there for the Pole Award, but 21 drivers ready to do battle here in the 4th annual RepuLinks 150, round number 10 at 21 for season number 6. So, of course, just a very brief description of the Richmond Raceway, of course, 0.750 miles, 1.207 kilometers in length, the D-shaped asphalt oval, nicknamed the Action Track in America's premier short track, home for racing in the Central Virginia area. Opened in 1946 as a half-mile dirt track. It's hosted NASCAR since 1953. It once hosted IndyCar for, I believe it was 9 years. Paved in 1968, the original track closed in 1988, and then it was enlarged to the 3/4 of a mile length that it is currently at the moment, and it's been named Richmond Raceway since 2017. It did have the international name, kind of that monkey in the middle there, but it's now down to 2 names. The only track on the NASCAR circuit with the exact layout and length that it has, so it's a very unique track in and of itself, and we're in for quite an interesting one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we did not do Richmond last year, so
Nope.
As you say, a bit of a return for some of our drivers, some seeing it within the network for the first time. So that combined with the overhaul that you were talking about on the iRacing side of things in terms of car handling, tire models, drafting models, we'll see how that translates to a short track. Might be fun.
Indeed, and we're just a couple of minutes away from the fun here. I'm going to head into iRacing voice chat, have a quick talk with these guys, and get these engines fired up with the most famous words in motorsports, and we will go green flag racing for 200 laps around the Richmond Raceway for the first time since Season 4 in 2023. Alrighty, gentlemen, do we have a copy?
Gotcha. Richmond.
Yes, Richmond, something like that. Number 17, Corbin McCauley, I know you're undefeated here. You're going to try to go for 4 in a row. No pressure. How you feeling?
Jordan.
Jordan, do you have any response for that?
I'm hopeful.
Perfect. Sounds good. Alrighty, 21 of yes. Welcome to the RepuLinks 150 here at Richmond Raceway. Our first time racing here within the network in 2 years. Round number 10 at 21 for Season 6 of the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series on iRacing. Monza to Richmond, one extreme to the next, from a road course overseas now to a short track here back in the United States. So with all that being said, best of luck. Put on a heck of a show for 200 laps. And with all that being said, gentlemen, start your engines. So the engines have been fired up on the pit lane. Cars are rolling off pit road. And we will introduce the starting lineup here for tonight's 4th annual RepuLinks 150 at Richmond Raceway and the final round for the Forked River Brewing Company in-season tournament. So here we go. Let's get the music rolling. There we go. So here is your starting lineup for tonight's event. Of course, starting on the front row, your reigning winner here from last Monday at Monza, the 00 of Jordan Kalinian out of Salisbury, North Carolina, starts on pole. To his outside, the number 1 of CD Magram in the Nordic Aluminium Toyota for Tornado Alley E-Racing out of Atlanta, Georgia. Row number 2, 3-time winner at Richmond Raceway, looking to go 4 for 4. The only winner ever in Richmond history in the series, Corbin McCauley. Scott Bailey alongside him in the number 48. He's back with us. Wasn't racing at Monza last Monday, looking for a 3rd win on the year. Darcy Ford starts in 5th in the number 64 Ford out of Harrington, Prince Edward Island for 519 Atlantic Motorsports. How about the number 93 of Appleton, Wisconsin's Tom Janikowski for Big Team Motorsports starting in 6th place. Rookie Raymond Hanneman starts in 7th in the number 85 out of Ottawa, Ontario, alongside the 41 of Jose Mercado out of Kissimmee, Florida for GTR Motorsports. And rounding out your top 10 in car number 7 out of Dayton, Ohio, Andy Hurdle starts alongside, rounding at the top 10, the number 4, Eudora, Kansas's Mason Tomlinson for Hyperdrive, looking to capture the in-season tournament championship.
And that's important for him because he's 2 slots ahead of Mario Ercolani starting in 12th. In the number 29 Toyota out of Parsons Field, Maine, they've got Adam Wilson in the number 21 Tornado Alley Toyota out of Laurel, Delaware, sandwiched in between. On to row 7 now, where we have the aforementioned number 12 of Mike Marini out of Thunder Bay, Ontario, making start 116 in his career now. And on his outside will be the number 60 of Justin Belmonte, driving for GTR out of Pasco, New York. And on to row 8, where we have the number 80 Ford of Mark Goulet out of North Bay, Ontario, starting 15th. And on his outside is car 15. It is the Storm Surge Esports Toyota of Kyle Knoll out of Wendell, North Carolina. Row 9 now, we find the number 97 Tornado Alley Toyota, of Ty Higginbotham out of Kansas City, Missouri. And on his outside, we head to Portland, Oregon, where we find the number 16 Chevy of Ryan O'Toole. Then we go down to row 10, where we have the number 13 Blue Collar Racing entry of Jared Ireland out of Eudora, Kansas. On his outside, the number 3 Chevy of Blake Thronberg out of Graham, North Carolina. And to round out the field of 21, it is series founder Dan Cudmore, the number 2 Penske North Ford out of Stanchel, Prince Edward Island.
So there it is, your starting lineup for tonight's event. Race analysis, 200 laps, stages are 35, 80, and 85. Pit road speed is 40 miles per hour. Fuel window is somewhere around 57 to 60 laps, so we might see some guys maybe get a little interesting at the end of this first stage, or maybe wait it out until that window. Of course, race winner, not last year, it was 2 years ago, in the number 17, a 3-time Richmond winner, Corbin McCauley at Richmond Raceway.
Indeed so. We'll have to see if anyone's able to break his momentum. But like I said in the pre-race show, after last week's adventures, if there's any week for Corbin McCauley to get his mojo back, this would be it.
21 cars, 200 laps, our first race at Richmond in 2 years. The RepuLinks 150 is underway.
That flagman is on it here, and so is Jordan Kalinian on this initial start. But how about McCauley getting that inside line? He's up to P2 straight away.
We are racing at Richmond Raceway for round number 10 at 21 for season number 6. Jordan Kalinian leads now lap number 1. Already the number 17 up to position number 2 in the McCauley Racing Chevrolet. Some double file action throughout the rest of the field as Hanneman underneath the Zesty Paws Chevrolet of Tom Janikowski down the front. Hanneman will clear for 6th.
Yeah, looks like a solid, semi-clean start all the way around here, I gotta say.
Multiple cars getting past the 93 on the inside. Andy Hurdle next up, and then there is Adam Wilson again, currently holding that 12th and final playoff spot on points by just a couple over Mike Marini back in 12th. So, or actually back into the position he qualified in is, we potentially about to go 3 wide. Higginbotham dives in underneath Ercolani.
There's a turn.
There was a touch, but Ercolani keeps it going.
Yeah, and obviously that's huge early on for his in-season tournament aspirations because, given short track, don't necessarily want to be a couple laps down early if anything happens to go amiss.
Again, this first stage is just 35 laps. This one is going to go by quick. Stages 2 and 3 are a little bit longer, but this is no doubt going to fly by pretty quickly. Again, hopefully no commentators jinx anything goes on towards the back of the field. We did see what nearly happened there between Higginbottom and Ercolani. Again, that number 29 Toyota wants to stay clean and be able to make his way up to Mason Tomlinson methodically as this race goes on. Again, in-season tournament drivers. Remaining drivers, I should say.
Yeah, no, that is 100% fair, and that's going to be something definitely worth keeping an eye on over the course of the evening, as, you see Tomlinson there running P9, and, a bit more separation between the two drivers than we had off the start, certainly, but lots of time to make that up as we have an early pit stop from Ryan O'Toole.
And front-end damage.
Must have gotten caught up in something early. He's listed as 4 laps down now.
Oh, no. That little early sneak peek was not ideal.
Oh.
Yep. Bam.
Oh. Yeah, it wasn't the friendly homestead barriers that we've so frequently mentioned.
Friendly to the pace car, at least.
Yes.
Top two have started to separate themselves from the rest of the field. Just about a second or so between the 17 and the 1. Looking at our weather info at the moment, air temperature 26 degrees Celsius, 79 Fahrenheit, and then track temperature 29 Celsius and 85 Fahrenheit. Wind direction's going southwest at 12 kilometers per hour, 7 miles per hour. It's going to flip-flop of numbers as we speak. And what's the actual humidity number?
Yeah, on this week's edition of Fill in the Blank, it is 68% right now.
We just need one more.
Yep. It took me a second, but yeah, I'm there with you.
I feel like we transitioned to that point now where it's me initiating versus you.
I mean, yeah, we're just trying to... Well, me trying to keep it clean, no one is going to believe that for a second, so...
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't have any comment on that other than to observe and report.
Fair enough. I think the 17 has had a couple of moments in the corners. You just saw him get up there right up high through turns 1 and 2. I know that Jordan Kalinian was in the chats before tonight's event, giving some thoughts on how the track was treating him and how he thought about it all. And he said, trying to recall, it was...
I was going to say, I have it up here right now.
Yeah, fun to drive, terrible to race.
Yes. And yet, he finds himself with a lead of over a second within 15 laps. So make of that what you will, folks.
Again, remember a couple weeks back, the iRace and Next Gen big update, the overhaul to make the car a little closer to the real-life counterpart. Certainly has made a big change in how the racing product goes all across iRacing. We're seeing kind of the short track edition of that with our very own eyes. And safe to say, a lot of these guys have started to separate themselves quite a lot. We saw a lot closer gaps in qualifying, but again, that there's a bit of a difference between just kind of single cars going at against each other versus all these guys having to deal with dirty air and all the other things.
And obviously that's going to have its, increased share of prominence on the short track configurations. Obviously not as much room to move around. So
yes,
you're going to get caught up in it one way or another here, it feels like tonight. Although, in saying that, there's actually a decent bit of separation if you go top to bottom in the field. So guys kind of feeling things out here early on.
So yeah, just about almost a second and a half between the 00 and the 17. As these guys continue to pace themselves around and get this first stage done and over with. Again, lap 35 being the final lap. Looking into our interactive live chat here, got a couple of supporters. Of course, JD Magram cheering on. Car number 1, CD Magram. Bryce Fontaine is excited to get back with us next week at the Brickyard. Again, he's on, I believe it is a 4-week sort of hiatus. Other priorities going on in his life at the moment. Cheering on, of course, his teammates and Mason Tomlinson, Raymond Hanneman in there. Ray H613 saying TY Bryce. And of course, happy Canada Day Eve as well. Yes, tomorrow, Canada's 158th anniversary.
Yeah, and that is still very much an independent Canada for those who might happen to be watching.
Yes.
Not to go there with it, obviously, but sometimes it's worth saying that we are still very much the true North, strong and free up here.
It might have been a little bit of a different attitude back when we did have the Canadian in front of our brand name for the every year since the opening before this year. But anyways, regardless, of course, to all Canadians within our field and everyone else watching and supporting the network, sponsors and partners, to everyone in Canada, of course, wishing a happy Canada Day tomorrow on Tuesday, July 1st. Mark Flott cheering on CD Magram. We got a Natasha cheering on Raymond Hanneman. So if you're watching, you haven't interacted in our live chat just yet, feel free to let us know who you're cheering on, where you're cheering from, and how much fun you're having.
And of course, that Ray H613, for those not putting the dots together, that would be Raymond Hanneman himself.
Fair point.
Yeah, I wasn't saying it to, throw you under the bus or anything like that. I just happened to connect the dots while we were here.
Nope, completely understand that one. As you can see it there on the timing screen, the leaderboard, Ryan O'Toole, first DNF, unfortunately, out of this one. He's been in his pit box for well over 7.5 minutes, but the question mark is beside his name, so he is out of this one. 20 cars remaining on the track. A little bit more separation between car 00 and the 17. Now just over 2 seconds, almost 2.5. You can see the 17 really getting high up in the corners.
Well, I mean, that's the interesting thing about this first session, too. It's effectively a 35-lap sprint, but not unlike what we heard from Scott Bailey a couple weeks ago at Charlotte. Guys could use this as a bit of a test session here as well to identify which lines they're going to run the best on over the course of the evening, particularly as the conditions change on track. So it's kind of a good learning experience, particularly with everything that has changed within the iRacing builds on the NASCAR side as well. So there might be a little bit of that playing into how this first stage is going too.
Riding on board Pacheco, New York's Justin Belmonte, car number 60 for GTR Motorsports. Wasn't with us last week, back with us here tonight at Richmond, of course, the track where he finished runner-up to Corbin McCauley 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I mean, he's a guy that's in the past has proven to be competitive, certainly. I mean, we know he's got 4 victories in total in his career. Came really close at a similar distance track last. Oh boy,
that was a pinch into the wall.
Yeah, bring out the Heinz ketchup bottles because that was a squeeze, folks.
So that's an extra point for Magram now with 5 laps remaining in stage number 1. Again, as you said earlier, pretty much a sprint to the finish. And again in the wall.
Yeah, thank you for actually reading out the lap number for me because it got my attention to my other responsibility that I need to fulfill in about a minute's time.
So Magram to second. Scott Bailey, your season 4 champion, looking underneath. Corbin McCauley, another hit to the wall there by the 17.
Yeah, certainly no lack of familiarity between those two, to put it generously.
Kalini will be coming to 2 laps to go in stage number 1, catching the potential first lap car here of Mark Ouellette. Look at this top 5 as well, between Kalinian, Magrum, McCauley, Bailey, and Darcy Ford up there. Nice to see him. Another top 5 run thus far. I believe I just counted a 13 combined short track victories in the NASCAR series between your top 5.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it does take a certain kind of discipline to be able to run well on these configurations. And yeah, you look at the names within that top 5. Not necessarily a surprise to see that the wins have piled up around these places.
There's your stage checker. Jordan Kalinian will take the stage win. Mangrum 2nd, McCauley 3rd, Bailey 4th, Ford 5th, Handyman, Tomlinson, Belmonte, Throneberg, and Mercado rounding out the top 10.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, I just might have missed by a second or two when they actually hit the line.
I think everyone was practically single file anyways.
Yeah, looking at the timesheet, it was very separated or spread out. So not so bad, and not so bad of a run for the 00 with yet another stage win. What else is new?
So make that 9 for the Salisbury, North Carolina driver now on the year. So that would make it now 6 more stage wins than the driver with the next best number.
9. And I mean, every one of those points is going to be crucial for him. Well, I say that, that's now his 29th playoff point already that he's locked down. And next closest is Scott Bailey with 13. So Kalinian, he's built himself a nice little cushion, to put it lightly.
Oh, you saw that, just a little bit of the 00. He had to back up by ever so slight inches. I barely caught that.
Yeah, I briefly saw the reverse out of my eye as well, and he's going to lose a couple positions as a result.
I wonder if that was going to happen. I saw it coming. So CD Magrum, Corbin McCauley to the top. I think everyone but Dan Cudmore took 4 tires and fuel.
I mean, why not keep the strategy consistent, I would think, in terms of just making sure you're on level footing with everyone, especially now that we're looking at what will be, or what should amount to, roughly 75, 76 laps under green this time around. Assuming everything holds up, that's what we're scheduled for anyway. But we see the change at the top. We'll see how long that lasts.
So if the math serves correctly, that means we're going to be coming to... It'll be 40 laps to the end of stage 2.
Or... did I miss something there?
Stage lengths 35, 80, 85.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah, now that we see the pace car lights are off coming in this time around. So, yeah, 75 laps under green is what we're looking at.
115.
Then,
you add on 115.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. So lap 115 will be when we get to the end of stage 2.
And in all likelihood, probably see pit stops in the 90 to 100 range here, but that might be our first taste of strategy once we have guys actually coming in at the end of these stints. But we got to get it started first.
Stage 2, middle stage, underway at Richmond. CD Magrum leading the charge. McCauley looking to clear for second already by Kalinian. He will into 3.
And yeah, everything looking fairly smooth still here at the moment. I mean, we haven't commentators jinxed anything yet, but we're still looking good right now.
Into the wall!
God damn it. Oh, darn it. Right after I said the words, we haven't commentators jinxed anything yet. Womp womp.
And there's your 3-time Richmond winner, Corbin McCauley, in trouble at the end of the beginning of stage 2.
Well, still a long way to go here. Let's get another look at how that happened. And yeah, self-inflicted.
Back end just lost itself.
Yeah, the irony of him running the higher line earlier, it's a little bit lower this time around that sends him down. And notably, in regards to our in-season tournament, you saw Mario Ercolani pitting ahead of him as, yes, we get our first sign of the little rescue lucky turtle, and it goes to the source of said lucky turtle, the number 80 of Mark Ouellette.
Yes, sir. So he'll get back on the lead lap. And there's car 17 on pit road. He's been there for over 20 seconds now. Again, cake the left front into that inside barrier.
She's got a bit of a dent, to say the very least.
As he makes his way out just in time to not go a lap down.
Yeah, I'll be very interested to see how that car handles. Clearly no mandatory repairs needed on it, which is, a positive for him.
Well, we've seen miracles before. I think he's had a couple bounce backs this season.
And the important thing for him is that he's gotten back to the tail of the pack on the lead lap. So, really, there's front end damage, but in terms of the overall race itself, he can still figure things out. There's still lots of time. Not just in this stint, but, the overall scheme of the race itself. As we're just coming up on quarter distance in a couple laps time.
I just received communication from a certain person. The only thing I will say is not positive.
Probably something that can't be aired, is what you're saying.
Not an expletive, just not positive.
Well, I mean, we see the damage kind of speaking for itself there, so not necessarily a surprise. However, we're off and running again.
Back underway in stage 2. Lap 47, C.D. Mangrum ahead of Scott Bailey and Jordan Kalinian side by side for the runner-up position. Raymond Henneman looking to make a surge on the outside. You saw a little bit of tire smoke right there. He's trying to make it work. Barely not able to.
Ooh. Yeah, certainly some aggressive ideas off the restart, including this 3-wide experiment we're seeing.
Tomlinson's trying to make something happen. It caused Belmine to get tight. He scraped the outside wall. Thronberg looks to capitalize on the bottom.
Yeah, Thronberg just keeping it out of danger as much as anything else right now. And he's going to be rewarded with at least a place here as he moves up into 6th with designs on getting into the top 5.
Yeah, that Fat Boy Designs number 3 Chevrolet has not finished in the top 10 since Texas. 3 races without a top 10. Best finish of 12th at Martinsville. Which, I mean, I just said that. That was our last short track, so That could be interesting.
Yeah, it could be, as he makes the move to get into the top 5 here now. So, Throber, was that McCauley again?
Yes.
Indeed it was.
Oh my.
And so the literal and figurative hits just keep on coming here for the guy who had been sort of the Richmond master here in previous seasons.
And back to the race lead, Jordan Kalinian.
I mean, we can't be surprised at this point, but now the question is shorter configuration. We'll see if this particular trio here of Mangrum, Bailey, and Hanneman can keep him reeled in. As Hurdle
Andy
has a little
Hurdle.
wall scrape.
There's a Richmond stripe for him as well. We're just a couple races, a couple weeks away from the Darlington stripe.
Which, if memory serves, that's once again the throwback.
Yes.
Always love that week.
And being the throwback race too, no stage cautions.
Yeah. So that is lovely.
Now, I know we've done a throwback race at a short track before, North Wilkesboro, last year or the year before.
I want to say that was... I want to say that one was 2 years ago. Maybe Rockingham last year was throwback.
A fair point. I think it was Rockingham last year. I mean, go figure. It was our first time there, so... Yes, indeed.
And possibly our last time there.
The NASCAR Throwback 150. That's what it was on July 11th, 2 years ago in North Wilkesboro. Looking back to that one, hopefully we don't have something similar as this rest of the race goes on.
Well, there's a reason neither of those tracks are on this year's calendar.
I think Atlanta's next in line. It's not a short track, but I'm just saying.
1,000,000% agree. It takes time to refine these things, folks, especially when you're changing over platforms.
Yes.
It's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Approaching 57 laps completed in the 4th annual RepuLinks 150. Jordan Kalinian's leading a train of, I'd say, 6 cars at the moment. Scott Bailey, the first car there in line behind him. So these guys are staying up close to the 00 this time around. Again, do note that the sun is setting, so it looks as though it is a day-to-night transition for tonight's event. So it's gonna be interesting to see how these weather or the conditions and the sun setting, and when we get into the lights, how that plays around with these race cars.
Yeah, it's still roughly the same weather-wise right now. Track temperature 84, humidity up to 72. From the 66 as Bailey goes sideways.
Yellow.
Yeah, we'll have to get a closer look to see if there was contact involved or whether that was self-inflicted. Just happened to see him sideways there at the last second in the background. But it looks like much in the same vein to Corbin McCauley. Yeah, he's down the field, but he's still on the lead lap. So no harm, no foul, really. And it's pretty much the same thing Corbin McCauley did, except he didn't hit the wall.
Yeah, except this time he was able to get the car back under control in some capacity.
And we're seeing some pit stops here now. As at this point in the race, lap 61, yeah, if you fill up the tank, if you look at our fuel window, you could get to the end at this point. So wise, I would say, for the lion's share of the field to be coming in here now. Looks like Hanneman. Oh boy, who's turned around?
That's Bailey. Bailey around on pit road.
And yeah, just reverses to let Hurdle by.
So it works. So the contact happens with Noel.
Yep.
He goes through another car, and then Hurdle goes through. Okay.
Yeah, that's our team of, John Cena-like spotters.
Now, the thing is, after all that, everybody except the top 2 pitted. Most of these guys went for, I believe, just fuel. Darcy Ford decided to go for 4 tires. So did Belmonte, Higginbottom, Wilson, Dan Cudmore went for them. But Blake Thronberg and Tom Janikowski have chosen to stay out.
Prioritizing track position early enough in this stage that I think they can get away with it, especially given that this is our second incident-related caution here of the stage. So not as much stress put on those tires as of yet, as we'll be going green this time around. But yeah, we'll see how long they can defend or whether or not they're going to be sitting ducks. But part of that also depends on what everyone else did pit stop wise.
So we'll be coming to just over 50 laps remaining in the second and middle stage of tonight's RepuLinks 150. So you have your leading Rookie of the Year standings driver inside row 1. And then to the outside, the Zesty Paws Chevrolet of Tom Janikowski pulled off a 9th place finish at Monza last week. He's had a couple top 10 runs within the last 5 races, 3 of those being top 10s to be exact. We'll see if he can pull off another one. As I say that, Thronberg gets the launch off the restart.
Fantastic jump for him. Looks like Mangrum might have been a little slow off the line there. It felt like he was sort of in stasis there a little bit compared to the cars around him, and maybe a little tap there coming through from, is that Noel I'm seeing? Yeah.
Noel and Mangrum might have gotten together a little bit there. I was going to say about that launch from Thronberg, I wonder if a fellow rookie in Raymond Hanneman would be proud of him, because you've seen the launches that Hanneman's had in past races. Oh, look at this crossover from Mangrum down to the bottom of the Storm Surge Esports Toyota.
And these two, they're not necessarily known for giving each other room always on the track, so that's always a spicy little battle when the 1 and 15 come together, and Tomlinson's going to look to take advantage of it as he continues his quest for the in-season tournament crown.
Kalinian might have gone up the hill, Hanneman to second.
Yeah, obviously that's a change in position, but not necessarily worrisome for Jordan Kalinian just yet. We've just hit the 1/3 mark of tonight's race after all. So still lots of time for things to happen. And yeah, I think it's just a matter of getting settled into a groove here over the next little bit.
Separation about 4 positions right there between your 2 remaining Forked River Brewing Company in-season tournament drivers.
Whoa.
Make that another car as Darcy Ford tries to sneak by on the bottom. Tomlinson's just a couple cars ahead of Mario Ercolani. Back to 12th as Higginbottom looks to get past.
And yeah, there goes. Well, Ercolani up high. They're certainly trying to find a decent slot to get himself racing in, but we'll see if Adam Wilson tries to follow his Tornado Alley teammate down that bottom line. Not this time.
Mangrum looking underneath Janikowski and down the back, and then Belmonte to the inside of Kyle Knoll. Mangrum takes 4th.
Top 3 have kind of gotten away. Well, top 2 especially have gotten away. Kalinian kind of in no man's land at the moment.
And then I was going to say, side by side for the lead, it's your top 2 rookies in the series. With a bit of a touch.
One with a win already, notably. The other one not. And yeah, Hanneman's just going to give him the little handoff to Thronberg coming across the start-finish line. And yeah, that's the 85 to the top of the board here right now, folks.
Indeed, it is exciting to see the next face, hopefully the next face of the series up at the front. And then there's the sophomore Jordan Kalini. It looks like he might be, maybe heaven saved himself, just saving his equipment just a little bit, already starting to now catch up towards the top. Tom Janikowski, I think, just fell back a couple spots. Going to lose another one now to Jose Mercado. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, the way cars were moving around there as we made that cut, it looked a little Matrix-like there. It felt like kind of 5 or 6 were within that little bubble, so to speak. Oh! Yeah, there's a big old touch.
Not exactly sure who. It might have been Kyle Knoll.
That would be my suspicion as well.
You can see a little bit of scruff on his car, just a little. Particularly on the front as Darcy Ford, Mason Tomlinson fight for 6th. Tomlinson had a bit more of an advantage there down the back with a run, but Ford is going to get the bottom groove and he'll take it.
Yeah, Darcy Ford doing an admirable job here tonight, it has to be said. And again, it is still so strange at this time of the season to see him outside the playoff picture as it stands right now. It would be a 9-point gap, as you mentioned, off the top of the evening between himself and Adam Wilson for that final spot. It just seems not right, I guess, to see the 64 on the outside looking in, but he's trying to atone for himself here this evening.
So Blake Thronberg having now his stint at 39 laps. He's still hanging on in 2nd. Meanwhile, Tom Janikowski has dropped all the way back like a rock to now about 17th.
Did you say that because he's driving a Chevy? That was like the iconic ad campaign of the mid to late 90s. Before you would have been born, obviously. The Chevy, I think when they introduced the Silverado, it was set to Like a Rock by Bob Seger. So there's your cultural reference of the evening, folks.
Context always helps.
Yes.
So while these drivers continue to cycle towards the end of this second and middle stage, again, last lap being 1:15. We'll go side by side for just a couple laps here and give a couple shout outs to our sponsors and partners for Season 6 of the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series on iRacing. As soon as I said that, Jordan Kalina decided to pop the outside wall down the back straight. Okay. Adam Wilson in trouble. He kept it going. Ish.
And the flag stayed green.
Well, he didn't fully spin around.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen iRacing kind of take liberties with that in certain situations. Oh my! Oh!
Who's got brown underwear?
Well, insert car here. Yikes.
Jesus and yikes combined.
Pretty much, yep.
Just inches away from just caking him. T-bone.
Yeah, that is, ooh. Man, oh man, just sideways, but everybody's staying safe.
Well, let's try it again.
Oh.
Side by side. We'll be back in just a couple laps.
Good morning, Philip. Time for an oil change. Remember last time?
I'd rather not.
Took 3 hours. You forgot Little Henry's video game. You're not as entertaining as a video game, Philip.
Silence your oil change anxiety at Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Get an expert oil change in about 15 minutes with no appointment needed.
Thanks for coming in.
Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Service you can see, experts you can trust.
with Mark at Little Rescues, and great organization. And I want Mark to tell us a little bit about responsible ownership in all pets, but especially a little guy that you have here. Could you tell us about Arthur?
Arthur here, he was born a perfectly normal red-eared slider. He has what's known as metabolic bone disease. So he was, over his lifetime, denied proper nutrients and calcium and the basic necessities that a turtle needs to survive and grow properly. So with the compression on his internal organs, this will unfortunately cut his life short. But for now, he enjoys a really great life with the Little Rescue as our premier animal ambassador for animal cruelty and show people what not to do with the turtle.
You know, it's organizations like this that need support. I mean, sure, we all have dog rescues, cat rescues, but when you see a guy like Arthur here, you know, all pets need great care, and this is what the Canadian Pet Expo is about, okay? So come on down, learn about Mark and what he does with Arthur, and support such a great cause, okay? Thanks, Mark.
We continue live coverage here of the 4th annual RepuLinks 150 at Richmond Raceway, round number 10 at 21 for Season 6 of the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series on iRacing. It's now lap 92, so if the math plays out, coming to lap 93. Just over 20 laps remaining in the second stage. Battle for the lead as we come back. It's Justin Belmonte versus Raymond Hanneman.
Yeah, and we were talking about this a little bit off air. Justin Belmonte, he just finds ways to be fast in a lot of different places. Now he clears Hanneman for the lead. Like, the one that stands out to me from last season, and I'm sure it does for you as well, was the run that he had at Dover prior to contact that happened in that one. But Belmonte was absolutely flying in that race, if you recall.
Indeed he was, and yeah, you just said there, while we were side by side. Behind the scenes, the number 17 of Corbin McCauley, 3 for 3 at Richmond across 3 races, and now for race number 4, it's not going to be 4 in a row. He is the second DNF of tonight's event, so 19 of 21 cars now remain on the racing surface, so we are guaranteed a new and different winner here at Richmond Raceway, and at the moment, could we see the Warrior Raps number 60 at Apachico, New York possibly bounce from second 2 years ago to the top of the charts this time around?
Well, look at how quickly he's building up that lead. The one question now is we see Ford catching up to Hanneman for second. The question for Belmonte is whether or not he's burning up that set of tires, which he came in during the last incident-related caution, so he'd be in the roughly 35 lap range on those, 35, 36. I don't have the usual stats in front of me for the stint, but that's roughly when the last one came out. So we'll see how they hang on. We had seen Blake Thronberg hanging on fairly well. Now he's dropping to 5th, albeit with a significantly longer stint, and it hasn't worked out nearly as well for Tom Janikowski after staying out. He's dropped down to P17 on track at the moment.
Couple of sniffs to the back end of car 85, Darcy Ford, your Season 2 champion, makes the dive underneath through 1 and 2. Door to door down the back. Catching up to the lap car of Mark Roulette.
Yeah, we got some all-Canadian beef here, boys.
Prince Edward Island versus Ontario.
With an Ontario immediately in front of them in the form of lap traffic. Oh, boy.
Might have been a bit of a kiss to the left rear. Ford has the corner exit advantage, though.
Yeah, great drive through turn 2 there that time around to get the nose out in front into 3 and 4. Because Kalinian's running high again.
You see that massive run that he gets again off the turn.
Well, you were
Ford clears
seeing-
Hanneman.
You were seeing Corbin McCauley do that as well earlier in the race. We were wondering about some of those high runs. Maybe there's something to it here now. Not necessarily like, obviously it's not wall riding, but obviously getting every last centimeter possible out of the car is what the 00 is attempting, certainly. Running a much higher line than seemingly a good chunk of the field, honestly. As, now, Ford's here, Hanneman.
Oh, boy.
Oh, well, you took the
Ty
words right out
Hig-
of my mouth.
Ty Higginbottom, where did you come from?
I mean, series champion, somehow he can fly under the radar a little bit, and he'll just show up when he needs to or when it matters the most. And here he is trying to track down a top 5, and he's, well, really 4th, because he's got that little cluster himself, Thronberg and Kalinian all together now.
Higginbottom, a 3-time short track winner within the series, almost lapped the entire field back in Martinsville in season 2. Also an Iowa and North Wilkesboro winner. He's going to try to send it 3 wide. He backs out. No. Still going. 1 car low, middle, and then high. Thronberg up the hill. Oh, man.
Yeah, there was definitely a touch between Kalinian and Thronberg there, and bringing up Thronberg is relevant because he was one of the 2 guys to stay out after that last caution. The other one, Tom Janikowski, is now in pit lane, about to go at least 1 lap down.
You still have Justin Melmani leading this one. He's on a 10-race winless streak since the Nordic Aluminium 200 at Auto Club last season, second to last race of the year. And then Ty Higginbottom looking for his first win since, I just said there, North Wilkesboro on April 30th 1 year ago.
But look at the gap Belmonte's pulled out in that time. Like,
yes,
he's just, when he has that kind of speed, and I've mentioned that we've seen it on multiple occasions, he's just on another level. And the fact that he's 3.4 seconds up, having just taken the lead, 10, 15 laps ago, that is some serious work being put in by the 60.
I remember Blake Thronberg too. He started all the way back in 20th, so he's been on a hard charger run as finally he's going to make his way to pit road again. 70 lap stint.
Yeah, I mean, he took those tires as far as he could, really. And had he been able to take them another 6 or 7, he could potentially save a set for the end, or save 2 sets, really. But just couldn't hang on to them any longer.
So 3.5 seconds between cars 60 and 64. Ty Higginbottom trying to hang on over Jordan Kalinian. Yeah, again, the fuel window, we talked earlier about it being around 57 to 60 laps or so, but Blake Thronberg was able to make it work. Another 10 laps, as now we are at 5 laps remaining in stage number 2. And based on stage wins thus far this year, Belmonte looking for his first stage win since Auto Club. Again, the track he last won at. Oh, Thronberg!
Oh boy. Well, that's going to make my job a lot easier, as the caution's going to end the stage.
That's quite the jump scare.
Yeah, just kind of doing the old skid mark out of nowhere. As theoretically, you would think it was an outlap for him after his pit stop. Or did he miss it?
No, he came in, and it was on that outlap coming around, and then, cool tires, and couldn't hang on. That was almost catastrophic for your, I would assume, eventual stage winner. We'll see.
Well, Yeah, usually the cautions go into, like, it's usually a 4 or 5 lap caution that we're looking at. And yeah, the field's coming in now. Wait. Well, yeah, technically this time around would have been 2 to go, so I'm not 100% sure what I should be doing at the moment. Technically, that would bring us to the stage end, though, right?
Yeah, 35 plus
Or-
80, 115. So
Yeah.
this next time around is the final lap. So maybe these guys are just trying to make a very, very quick rush. Oh, stage results are moment of caution. Is that the communication we just got? If stage ends under yellow.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think your brother was hearing my real-time panic and wanted to sort that one out.
Because Justin Melmani still has the lead, and they're coming to the white flag.
Yeah, and the
Pace car light's
pace
still
car
on.
hasn't gotten them yet, so yep.
So yeah, again, based on the moment of yellow, so Justin Melmani is still going to end up picking up the stage victory regardless.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, Belmonte's missed a couple of races this year, so this is, you know, a good thing for him to be able to try and make up a little bit of ground, because he's another, well, he missed the playoffs last season as well, but he's a guy that you would expect to be very much in the thick of things.
And even though, again, if stage ends under yellow, it is moment of caution when the stage ends, but we're just kind of keeping it safe there till when the stage was technically supposed to end. But there you go, Justin Melmani, second stage win of the year, his first since round 2 at Auto Club. And he will lead the field back to green for our third and final stage of the RepuLinks 150 at Richmond Raceway. And just knowing how the start of stage 2 played out, the crank it up, we're going to leave until we have about maybe halfway through this run. Fingers crossed we make it that far into the green flag.
Yeah, okay, yep. I think we're all good here. I don't think I was supposed to do anything else, so
Nope.
let's just breathe and let him run.
Go time, third and final stage in the RepuLinks 150. Again, a new and different winner guaranteed at Richmond Raceway. It was Corbin McCauley the last 3. Who gets it done in the 4th try?
Well, certainly Justin Belmonte making a strong case for himself here in the early going. We saw just the raw speed he had. Oh, man, I think Ford might have gotten crunched up into the wall there.
I think multiple cars had a bit. Oh, contact. Darcy Ford sideways. He goes around. So does Magram.
Yeah, there it is.
How did they not pile up?
Oh, boy. Not ideal, to say the very least.
Ford about had it saved, but the car then went down and tagged by someone. And then from there, amazingly, only 2 cars really collected in that one majorly. Again, we'll have to go back and see how Magram exactly got involved and went around, but we'll get this angle right here. Yeah, Ford down in the Tomlinson by the looks of it. Tagged by Knoll. And then up and around. We'll get to Magram in just a second, and we'll see how on earth everyone was able to get by him. Okay, just lost the back on the apron. Bit of a drift. Up then down. Janikowski somehow doesn't get involved. You know what? I think I'm going to give credit to everyone in that situation. Magram was able to hang it on in a way to not get hit by anyone. Then everyone else scrambled well enough to not hit him.
I mean, that was looking like a little bit of a rally move there, a little bit, just the way that back end was just getting lost left and right for the number 1. But yeah, like you say, pretty much everyone avoided him that time around. And yeah, we'll see. Both the 1 and the 64 have been running really well tonight. So a shame to see them get turned around like this early in stage 3. But assuming they can stay on the lead lap, like, it's not over yet for them by any stretch of the imagination.
So Justin Belmonte's still holding on to the race lead almost this entire field on 7-lap stints, except CD Mangrum and Darcy Ford just came down pit road after that incident, though. Only 4.8 and 5 seconds for each of them, respectively.
Yeah,
Hopping
that'd
off
be
with
just
some fuel, I'd say.
Precisely, yeah, because obviously they would have come down under the last caution as well, and presumably would have gotten full service at that point.
Thromer just getting off of pit road. Everybody double file. We'll be going back to Green Flag Racing on lap 123. Looking at our weather info. Looks like things have stayed about the same, if my memory serves correctly.
Yeah, well, the humidity is spiked, though. It's up to 80% now, so that could be making things a little more slippery for our drivers out there. Track temp was kind of mid-80s before, down to 81. As you mentioned, not a whole lot of change there, but yeah, the increase in humidity could make things just a little bit more slick, and the tires might not be fully up to temperature just yet, but we'll see who's down to get off to a good start here this time around.
You were saying who's going to get a good start?
Well, yep. I mean, they're not letting him get away, though, are they?
Hanneman's not letting him get away, as you said there. He's getting a little aggressive. We saw how he and Thronberg had that battle play out. Is Ireland going to try to make something happen up high and get a good corner exit? Oh, Belmonte up the hill just a little. Hanneman clears. Ireland takes advantage on the bottom.
Yeah, Belmonte just kind of straightened out through the turn there instead of maintaining that gradual arc coming out of 4. So he would have had to make a bit of a correction that time around, and ultimately that would have cost him not just the battle with Hanneman, but it lets Ireland slide by here as well, and he might not be done paying for that mistake here just yet.
I was going to say earlier, too, with these temperatures and these conditions and everything, now that we are fully under the lights, under the black skies and the moon, wherever it is, within the service, again, when you get on those cool tires and knowing how, that humidity plays around and also the wind speed's gone up just a little bit, the wind might play a big factor in how your car stabilizes and moves around in the corners or even all over the track, quite frankly, especially wherever the wind direction is going. And on those cool tires, especially as well, when you come down pit road, and if it's on a restart, let's say, oh boy, it's going to get loosey-goosey.
Yeah, because they would have only had a couple of miles under race conditions before that most recent caution came out. So, yeah, definitely not up to temperature just yet. That's something I'd be curious to see a little bit more of, would be that kind of telemetry and tire temperatures for the drivers. But I mean, clearly you can make guesses based on what you're seeing from the weather, and it's shown itself a couple of times here over the course of the evening.
Another Forked River Brewing Company in-season tournament update. Tomlinson's up to 5th. Ercolani's back in 12th. Again, still plenty of time for things to shake out. This race has had its twists and turns. I mean, Monza had about the exact same thing going as well. Scott Bailey in trouble again. I was just saying right there. There's another one. Caution.
All right. So, yeah, I don't think you'll see anyone play chicken with their track position here just yet. Still 70 laps to go. But, next 5 to 10 laps, if something happens, I think you might start to see some final pit stops at that particular point, given the fuel window that we were alluding to over the course of the evening. projected around 57 to 60. As Ireland makes his way into pit lane.
Yeah, so you said most of these guys probably now wouldn't be the time to really make anything happen, but maybe Jared Ireland has something up his sleeves.
Or perhaps something he needs to fix. Who knows, as Dan Cudmore comes in behind him.
And Janikowski. Ireland's going to go for all 4 tires. Scott Bailey's in as well. It seems like shades of Homestead all over again, if you remember what happened with the 48 Coors Light Chevrolet. It just seemed like something was happening with him every, I don't know, every 20, 30 laps, something.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell the weeks where, and Scott Bailey, when he's on his game, he's one of the most prepared drivers you're going to find in the series.
Yeah.
I wonder if this was maybe a week where he couldn't quite practice as much. And again, the iRacing updates on the next gen side of things, they're still new to everybody. And again, short track configuration, that's a different curveball too. So not necessarily the most surprising that we're seeing some guys have some trouble, but yeah, it's just bit the 48 a couple times here over the course of tonight's race.
And you said it back at Charlotte when he won the 300 over there. An endurance driver of sorts. He's kind of that long run guy that'll come around towards the end of the races. So again, it's been a roller coaster of a season for him. You could argue it's been the same for Jordan Kalinian as well, where he's had 1 or 2 races where he'll either win or finish up high, or something goes against him out of his control. A couple of different drivers have sort of experienced that, but Bailey and Kalinian especially. So far, Kalinian's been all right. Bit of an understatement based on how he did earlier on in the race. It's kind of changed a little bit. We've seen a bit of a down recently, but he's still up there contending as much as he possibly can. We're seeing, again, the term comers and goers. That's kind of what we're getting here throughout this RepuLinks 150 thus far. Meanwhile, Scott Bailey, I mean, he's still in this one. He's on the lead lap. There's still time. We're just under 70 laps remaining.
100% there's still time. And again, he's the guy that seems to find himself, when he's on, he finds himself in the right place at the right time, typically. So we'll see just how patient he can stay this time around. He's still, got 1/3 of the race distance to go as we're back underway.
Tomlinson popped the outside wall there down the back stretch. Another victim of those circumstances, but trying to hang on for a top 5 position. Mario Ercolani is just back there all the way on the outside. Thronberg trying to make it 3 wide. Magrum gets ahead, though, to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and now you've got a couple of GTR guys there.
Oh, Magrum and Knoll about together again.
Oh, boy.
Tomlinson with a dive bomb underneath Mercado. Oh, Mercado's down! And there he goes up the hill. Saves it.
Yeah, and that's GTR versus Eternal. That's, Eternal Racing is not an official team within the network for our team standings, to make that clear, but there are some racing allegiances there, and that's one that could be bubbling under the surface here as Magrum squeezes Knoll there a bit, but gave him enough room to run.
They're still leading on each other. Magrum eventually clears as Thronberg goes underneath the number 15. Andy Hurdle with a dive to the bottom of Ty Higginbottom through 1 and 2. Magrum and Knoll back side by side. Knoll's trying to use that outside line to have better corner exit. That one's not giving him a whole lot of room. After that, with Jose Mercado there, he fell back to 15th. Now a battle for the lead. We're having things going on all across the field.
Yeah, I mean, the first 60% of the race, it felt like, save for the incident cautions, it felt like things were proceeding fairly well. Now the real main event has started.
I must say, too, after the next-gen overhaul that we had a couple weeks back, these drivers, even though some of them not really a fan of how these setups are and with the certain tracks and such that they go to, they are making it work to the best that they can. I mean, we said that back at Charlotte. We had some great battles there, some fun racing. Monza was a little all over the place. Drivers, a lot of them struggling. Battles were kind of up and down. There's more drivers getting off track and such like that. But here at Richmond, these guys, they're not afraid to get their fists up and going. As Hanneman almost lost the back end there out of the corner. Kyle Knowles spins down the front stretch. Caution.
All right, now I think we'll see some action for guys wanting to go to the end. This is the perfect opportunity for it.
It was contact with Ercolani, and then Knoll just could not keep it straight.
Yeah, managed to not hit anybody else, and will stay on the lead lap, but yeah, that unfortunate situation for the 15, shall we say, after that little bump. And on we go. And we'll see if the pit parade happens this time around. Kalinian dipping down.
Hanneman stays out, Kalinian goes in, Belmonte's out, Tomlinson, Higginbottom, Hurl, pretty much everyone else looks like they're coming in. But Hanneman and Belmonte have something different in mind. Maybe they're thinking because of these cautions coming out every now and then, maybe because it's kind of like Larry McReynolds' real life deal of like when there's those average cautions. It's usually average in a race of when the last caution comes out. But I mean, really at all in general with the way this race has been going, the rhythm of it, maybe they're trying to take that chance.
Yeah, probably banking on at least one more, which might not be a bad idea, honestly. Especially if it means saving a set of tires toward the end, shall we say, as there's our little turtle friend making an appearance once more.
Yes, sir. Tom Janikowski back on the lead lap.
Yeah, between Zesty Paws and, Little Rescue, kind of Animal House on the Lucky Turtle here, of course, the evening as it's been awarded. But we'll see who's going to be hard charging here once the field collects back up.
So Hanneman and Belmonte again staying out. They're on 31 lap stints now. Pretty much everyone else down pit road. Janikowski got back on the lead lap, but he is staying out thus far. Through all that cycling, it's Jared Ireland leading that pit pack. And then Scott Bailey back up to the front.
What were we saying not 10 laps ago?
And here's the other thing, too. Let's go through some of these pit stop times as well. Ireland and Bailey looks like they both went for just gas. Kalinian went for tires. Ercolani, I think, went for 2 tires. Everyone else looks like they went for 4 tires and fuel. So this could get maybe chaotic at the front.
Yeah, I mean, during the pre-race, we were thinking it might get a little messy at times, and I think we're kind of on that borderline right now of being able to give it that distinction, but all the different strategies in play now, as you've just mentioned, it feels like something spicy might be coming.
We're just over 50 laps remaining, coming to 54 laps to go in the RepuLinks 150 at Richmond Raceway. Oh, Hanneman into the wall off the restart.
Now, was that just a bottled start from the 85 as we're immediately back under caution? Like, there's no other explanation, really, because he would have had control of the field at that point. Or no, Ireland did, I guess. So my apologies on that one. No, I was right. That's strange.
Look at the cockpit view. It just went around.
Yeah, and like it didn't look like there was, like, my initial thought was a checkup, but I don't think that was the case. And as a result, it didn't look like there was netcode in play there. So, yeah, I think, yeah, just a strange scenario there.
Again, too, it was him and Belmonte that stayed out. They're on well over 30 laps of a stint as there's Hanneman now making his way to pit road as I was saying that. I don't know if it's a thing, you know, the tires being burnt up. That could have played a factor in there because you saw him still on that same gear. It could have been any of that. It could have been maybe a little too friendly on the throttle. Again, a track like Richmond, you can tell, you know, getting off of corner number 4, that tends to be common with some drivers. That's the first time we've seen it here tonight, but in Richmond races, other leagues in real life, it's happened before. The pattern that we've seen tonight is drivers getting great jumps, and I mean, Hanneman has been one of those recipients, but then we just saw him with a mistake right there. It kind of turned the opposite around.
We did, but in terms of tires being burnt out, we also saw in stage 2, Thronberg and Janikowski going long on their stint, roughly 70-ish laps. So to have problems in the 30s, and when the track conditions really haven't changed, like, something's not quite adding up there.
Again, there's such thing as being a little too friendly on the throttle, but anyways, at the line, we'll be at 50 laps to go, and because of that, it'll be Justin Belmonte on the inside and Jared Ireland to his outside. The Warrior reps number 60 Ford up against the number 13 Boot Hill Distillery Chevrolet. Jared Ireland still looking for that first short track win in his E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series career. He's had a couple solid finishes in the past, and then Justin Belmonte, again, a runner-up in our last Richmond race 2 years ago. Before we get to the restart, shout-outs to all of our sponsors and partners: Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue, GTR Motorsports, Nordic Aluminium, Tornado Alley E-Racing, Zesty Paws, Amara Parker Racing, Valvoline Instant Oil Change, Little Res, Q Reptile Rescue, RepuLinks for sponsoring tonight's event, and the Fastest Lap, Pizza Main, Audrey's Legacy, Blackfly, and, of course, powering our broadcast cameras, TrackCams22.com. Back to green. We'll wait on the crank it up for just a little bit because I do not trust this restart.
Yeah, well, I mean, we called that the last one was going to be chaotic. I don't know if we expected it to be quite like that, but we figured something was not going to go right.
It's not that we don't trust these guys, but just knowing how things have gone.
100%. They'll understand that.
Oh, and after all that, Mario Ercolani is now your leader for the in-season tournament. I saw some touches towards the back there between a couple of cars. Tomlinson gives Bailey a bit of a shove at a corner 4.
Oh.
They keep it going. Oh, there goes Wilson.
And there's another yellow. So you were right not to trust it.
Well, at least this isn't Martinsville.
Well, I mean, I literally had that same thought in my head, but this may as well be a Weird Al tour stop because we're going to kind of accordion back together here again soon enough.
As we're under yellow again, looking at the race summary, 9 cautions, 7 lead changes, 5 different leaders, 33 laps of 154 under yellow. Jordan Kalinian currently holds the RepuLinks fastest lap with a 21.548 on lap 3. Weather, still about the same. The wind speed has gone down just a tiny bit.
Humidity up to 82 to fill in that blank, which I think that's where it was before when I had mentioned that it had gone up. So I think that's relatively similar throughout stage 3.
We have a Bryce Fontaine in our chat saying, LOL, good old Ray.
Well, I mean, I guess if you know the guy well enough to roast him, just, go for it.
Yeah, and then Tash is telling them to have some sportsmanship, and then Bryce says, I gotta bust his chops, Tash.
Well, I mean, as
That's
long as
my
they can have
teammate.
fun with that.
Yes, exactly. As long as we're having fun, it's all good. And again, I said earlier about Scott Bailey still being in this one, although he might have to. He might have to rush out of pit road now. He's going to, so he's going to be able to make it back out. But as I said earlier, Bailey with his incidents still on the lead lap, still plenty of time left. Same for Hanneman. He's in 14th. And yeah, Justin Belmonte has made his way to pit road again. 43 lap stint, and then of course Hanneman 8 lap stint. Everyone else 1st through 12th is at 13. And again, remember too, Ireland only went for fuel on his last pit stop. Ercolani went for 2 tires. Kalinian's the best of everyone that went for 4 tires and fuel. He's up to 2nd. And would you look at that? It's C.D. Mangrum in the middle of a sandwiched in between your 2 in-season tournament drivers.
And I watched Belmonte's pit stop in the background. He went for all 4 tires. So
probably the smartest move, as long as you try to warm up those tires the best you can, and hopefully there's not a wreck up ahead.
Well, it could be fortuitous timing for him if it happens to work out.
Considering how these restarts are gone, I'm feeling we'll click the crank it up. If something happens, at least it's done. And then Bryce Fontaine responded to what I was saying. It's a form of endearment.
I mean, we figured that's what it was.
Anyway, it'll be Jared Ireland and Jordan Kalinian leading this field back to green on lap 159. Almost 40 laps to go. Let's try crank it up and see what the hell happens.
Fair enough.
Jordy, they kind of made it a little further than I thought they would.
They did, but I mean, it's still not, the ideal benchmark, shall we say.
So again, thanks to TrackCams22.com. That was very short-lived, but knowing how this race has gone tonight, might as well get done over with. Get a couple laps there, some up-close action with these race cars around the Richmond Raceway under caution again. This time it's Ty Higginbottom.
Yeah, and let's get a closer look at what happened here. Yeah, turned by Hurdle, it would appear.
Oh, just a little kiss.
Yeah, take another look. Yeah, sure looks like contact to me.
Higginbottom held his line. Hurdle up the groove. And that's better for Higginbottom than what we've seen happen with other drivers. Hanneman, McCauley. And there's a bunch of guys that have gotten their stripes off of corner exits as well, particularly down the back stretch.
Yep, that's kind of where we are at the moment. Guys still dealing with on and off tires in terms of getting them heated up. Forget cold tires. This feels like a cold play stage here because it seems like it's all yellow.
So it's still Jared Ireland with the race lead. Kalinian second. Magrum at the third. Ercolani has fallen back to fourth. And your two in-season tournament drivers are right there.
They are. And both battling for a win potentially. This isn't going to be fun at all, is it?
Yeah, to cap the night off, if it's either one of them pulling a win off.
Well, what a way to finish the tournament if that happens.
Exactly. That's probably the Cinderella story of the series.
If one of them takes it in this situation, absolutely it is. But you have Jordan Kalinian relatively, dominant compared to the rest of the field, but you have two hungry drivers in the form of Jared Ireland and CD Mangrum. Neither of them have reached victory lane yet this year, so it's going to be a dogfight.
This is going to be a war to the end. How many more yellows may we get? 35 laps to go as there's a bit of a checkup on the outside on that restart. The top three pull away. Tomlinson's gonna barely get ahead of Ercolani in their little battle. Oh, Ireland gets spun in front of the field! Bounce saved, and no he didn't, but the rest of the field somehow didn't pile up
Oh
again.
my goodness. I don't know if there was contact there between any of that top trio, but yeah, that is just incredibly unfortunate for Ireland this time around. We got to get another look at that.
Contact with Magrum, and then
tried to save it. Well, wait, was it Ireland that I was suggesting had the rally-like driving earlier? I think it might have been. Just couldn't quite save it this time around.
it might have been. But anyway, we're going to do another one. Ireland to pit road.
Yep, and everyone's just kind of maintaining track position here at this point, as we saw the lion's share of the field come in for what we would presume to be final pit stops roughly in the neighborhood of 25 laps ago. But Regan, I don't think we're out of the woods just yet.
Nope.
Still seems like it's got to get a little messy before, or messier, before we can find our way to the end.
Now, throwing back to our last Richmond race, the Richmond 150, it was August 1st, 2023, back in Season 4. Again, Corbin McCauley getting the win from the pole. Race took an hour and 34 minutes, 3 leaders, 5 lead changes. It had 8 cautions. We're at 11. I know in that race as well, there may or may not have been a technical issue that then indirectly led to a quote-unquote big one. We're away from technical issues this time around, at least so far.
Yes.
But do you kind of have that gut feeling? It's kind of like a ticking time bomb with all these restarts and these incidents. I mean, hopefully we don't get the huge one in Atlanta that we had in real life a couple days back.
Well, we're going to find out again. Pace car lights just went off.
And then I get the flashback to Joey Logano, Austin Dillon, that diabolical send in last year's Real Life Cup Series race.
Yes. Good call.
Imagine the drama if we were to get that. I mean, look, Blake Thronberg is right there in 5th. I am not encouraging him on anything, but I'm just saying.
Just had to be that car number, right?
Yeah. Anyway, 30 laps to go. Let's try again.
And Kalinian with, well, it looked like a decent breakaway there, but Tomlinson swallowed it right back up, and he's up in a P2 now.
Oh, there was one hit there along the outside wall. He was 3 wide. Noel was in the middle of something there, and then he let off the gas and got out of that one. Throneberg looking to get to second. Tomlinson's up high. Magrum looks low. Darcy Ford's in there as well.
And I think a tap from Tomlinson out of 2 on that wall. Not a major one, as obviously he's kept going in the right direction, but it looked like it was just enough to get him straightened out.
Tomlinson gets in behind Throneberg. Magrum behind. Oh, there was a big slap there by the 7 of Andy Hurdle. Hanneman looks underneath, looking to hard charge his way back up to the front of the field.
Yeah, meanwhile, in all the chaos, the one thing that feels right, Jordan Kalinian building up a gap. Far from academic or elementary in any form, but somehow true to form.
Hanneman with the dive underneath Kyle Knoll, who stays up towards the middle line. 1 and 2.
And we'll see if Hanneman's, well, obviously he'll have the nerve to hold on to that inside line. That's not a question. It's just whether or not he has the pace. And into 1 this time around, I think he'll clear him, but Knoll's putting up a good fight.
I know that Knoll has had a bit of a struggle of a season thus far. A couple good runs. Didn't start the season well at Daytona, then ripped off a couple of top 10s. And then ever since, there were 4 races where he didn't finish inside the top 10, and then he wasn't with us at Monza. Oh, there goes Hanneman!
And there we go again. And right before he spun, I was going to think about drawing attention back to Justin Belmonte, who'd worked his way back up to 9th, but remember, has significantly fresher tires than anyone ahead of him. So if there was going to be any extended length stint, it would have benefited the 60 in that run to the finish, but you're pretty much cutting that in half now. So in terms of getting the tires back up to temp,
oh, Magrum thought about it. He stayed out. Knoll goes in. Hurdle, Marini, Mercado, several series veterans. Cudmore, Janikowski's in. Mark Ouellette is in.
now could that, not that they were necessarily right around him, but could that have been a bit of a dummy move from Mangrum, the way he was under the apron? Maybe to sucker some guys in?
It wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. I know he's had his fair share of moments with other guys throughout tonight's event. Has not been afraid to get the elbows up, especially with Kyle Knoll, who again now coming off of pit road.
Yep.
The first of everyone that just came down.
Now, I'd be curious to see those pit stop times.
4 tires and fuel for everyone.
Okay, so now the question is there enough time to get those tires up to temperature to maximize their effectiveness once we get another restart and hopefully stay green the rest of the way, knock on wood?
So to go through all these stints at the moment, 1st through 6th, 36 laps. Belmonte's at 23, Bailey's at 24, Higginbottom's at 36, Wilson 24, Jarrett Ireland's at 12, Note that. Raymond Hanneman at 31. Everyone else, of course, just came in. And again, with Adam Wilson's stint in particular, his last pit stop was only 6 seconds. Mario Ercolani went for that 2-tire call 37 now laps ago. As Jordan Kalini and Blake Thronberg and the rest of the field will get side by side, and we will go green flag racing with 19 laps to go. Kalinian looking for win number 5 on the year and career win number 13. Thronberg still looking for his first, so is Tomlinson. Magrum trying to pick up his first victory since the Brickyard last year, which we are going to next Monday as a matter of fact. Mario Ercolani is looking for a first win in the in-season tournament as well, along with Tomlinson. Darcy Ford's looking to break a long winless streak. Justin Belmonte since last year's penultimate race at Auto Club. There's a lot of different drivers with a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different things to go for here, and we're going to find out how it all plays out now with 19 laps to go.
And speaking of go, Kalinian tried to go, but again, everyone else is going with him.
Oh! Cudmore and Ireland. Heavy contact, but they keep it straight, so we stay green.
I think Hanneman might have gotten a little scuffy out of 2
Oh,
right ahead.
there goes Noel. No,
But
he
he
kept
keeps
it
it
going
straight.
too. Wilson did as well. He had a moment too. Ford into the wall. Scott Bailey with a dive bomb. Higginbottom backs out. And we're still going.
I think everyone's more or less wanting to get this to the end, but like I said before that last caution started, yeah, you're looking at him right now. That's 60. I think I'm hearing some Jaws music again, buddy. That is Belmonte surging. I feel like he's going to play a factor in this outcome.
Ercolani right in behind the driver. He's fighting for the in-season tournament championship. And then up high, Justin Belmonte. As I think Scott Bailey might have just had a moment. We'll quickly click the replay button.
Oh,
Yes, he
yeah,
got
yeah,
loose off the corner. And somehow he doesn't get punted.
Mercy. So, for reference, whenever I said I figured Belmonte was going to figure into the outcome.
Oh, and
he's
Mercado, too.
Oh, yeah, yikes.
Sorry to interrupt as we will go back live. You keep going.
No, that is 100% okay. But what I was going to say about Belmonte finding speed, he just set his fastest lap of the race 2 laps ago at 21.7. So he might have an opportunity here if he's able to keep everything in line. Like, I know the gap is 1.4 seconds right now.
Hanneman's around again.
Okay, so disregard everything I just said.
Boys, this is not Martinsville.
Or bumper cars.
Not that either. For anyone that wants to come to Prince Edward Island for a vacation, Old Home Week is your place. We're not there yet.
Very true.
Back on
Although
yellow.
I wish they still had that Gateway Village go-kart track, though. That would still be awesome.
Yeah. I know the rides there used to be real good. I haven't been there in a couple of years. My personal last memory was being on a Ferris wheel when a lightning storm was coming through, and the lightning bolts in the distance were wild. And then the wind came in, and the rain, and it sounded like a tornado came through, honestly.
Well, yeah, when you're right there on the shoreline, right in the straight, yeah, that could make for some very, very interesting conditions.
And we certainly have had our fair share of tornadoes seemingly come through Richmond Raceway under the lights. Just over 10 laps now remaining. It's still Jordan Kalinian leading, but again, you said that Jaws music for car 60. He's right there, ready to pounce, but he has 2 cars that he's got to get ahead. Although on the outside, if he can get an advantage off corner exit, he might be able to get up to Thronberg there, maybe. But we've seen on most of these restarts, it's usually the car that has control of the restart gets the advantage. We're going to forget about what happened with Raymond Hanneman earlier. But I digress.
And the lights stay on, so at least one more lap.
And I was gonna say, just before we had that next caution, Mason Tomlinson, Mario Ercolani were right there ready to battle it out until the Raymond Hanneman spin.
But they're going to be paired up on row 3 on this restart. They're going to be side by side. That could be a tasty finish to this in-season tournament.
Now, I'm not sure if there is an answer to this question. Is there a reward? Because I don't ever recall one.
I was going to say, it's the Zesty Paws Challenge had the iRacing gift card, right?
Yeah, and then Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue Dash for Cash, or whatever it's called. Dash for Cash is money. Some like $150 Canadian, I believe, somewhere around there.
Cash in the title, it makes sense.
Yes. But for the tournament, I haven't heard anything. I don't know if it's is it just a thing going off of the real life NASCAR deal, which pretty much everyone's brackets got destroyed by that huge wreck in Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Saturday night.
Yeah, it might be just bragging rights here, but we'll see who's laughing. Wait, what happened? Kalinian pitted at some point. He's in pit lane now. Okay, let's change the game a little bit again.
He went to the pits and suddenly his name is blurred out.
Yikes, I hope he hasn't disconnected. But hey, doors wide open here now for Mangrum and Thronberg as they just take off like rockets.
This completely changes everything as Kalinian's now gone off to the pit area and possibly out of this one. Not sure what exactly happened there. That's going to give CD Mangrum the lead.
I'll see what I can find in tracking back.
You do that as we pay attention to these wild battles of... What's that?
Packet loss.
Oh boy. So again, that changes the name of the game. This could be anyone's race to win now. Lots of exciting battles going on as Ercolani with a bit of a send there underneath Darcy Ford. Tomlinson's right there ahead of him.
I thought Hurdle might have given him a little bit of a tag there too.
Ford clears himself ahead of the 29. A little bit of close quarters. Hurdle now underneath the 29. So Tomlinson... Oh, Ford's into the wall!
Oh, boy. But we're staying green?
Nope.
Nope, there we go.
It took a bit of time for that car to just go a couple inches more to the right.
Yeah, the extra few seconds, folks, were for the exchange to Canadian time. Just to make that clear for the American folks. And, yeah, that triggers yet another caution, and that's bringing us into overtime territory, homie.
So let's see what exactly happened. Oh, yeah, Ford just loose off the corner, and then Higginbottom. My best guess is he had nowhere to go. Not enough time to make a different decision. And around goes Darcy Ford.
That sounds right.
Around went Darcy Ford. So we are going to head to overtime, a green-white checker to decide this one by the looks of it, which 3 attempts are permitted on the third one. If a caution comes out with 2 before the white flag, race is done.
Yeah, but as you say, 3 strikes and you're out. Hopefully, we can get this in first attempt. Shockingly, I think we did with Martinsville, didn't we?
It was first or second attempt, but remember Texas?
Yep. I'd rather not, but yep.
And wasn't there one in Atlanta as well? No. Politically, I gotta say Echo Park. I don't want to, but politically speaking.
Well, in iRacing, it was not known as Echo Park at that point.
Yes, but as I was saying, though, wasn't there one in Atlanta, like 1 or 2 of them? I wasn't there.
I mean, there were about 67 different things that happened, so I'll have to go back into the old memory logs on that one. But yeah, there would have been at least 2.
Yeah, we've had multiple races thus far this season after nine completed races, a couple of them requiring overtime restarts. And knowing how this has played out thus far tonight at Richmond, knowing again, guaranteed a new and different winner with Corbin McCauley out, and now with Jordan Kalinian out of this one.
Yeah.
CD Magram's there within the mix. Blake Throneberg's looking for a first career win. That would jump him up way ahead of Raymond Hanneman. I mean, quite frankly, if he's able to hang on for a decent finish here, he's going to get a jump there in the Rookie of the Year standings and overall points regardless. But then there's Justin Belmonte. He was the bridesmaid to Corbin McCauley 2 years ago in our last Richmond 150. And Mason Tomlinson and Mario Ercolani are right there. Potentially one final restart to settle the in-season tournament and a Cinderella story for the ages for either driver. Andy Hurdle looking to break a long winless streak since Charlotte last year. Jose Mercado hasn't won a race since the console era. Mike Marini, bridesmaid at Daytona earlier this year. He hasn't won since the console days as well. Kyle Noll looking for a first win. Bailey looking for win number 3 on the year. Lots of different drivers with a lot of different things at stake. Overtime, attempt number 1 at Richmond.
All right, boys, 1.5 miles to get this done. Let's see who's got it. Mangrum off to a good start, but Throneberg's not letting him get away. Let's see if Belmonte gets a good line out of 2.
Oh, sideways. Oh. Tomlinson smacked the wall as well.
There, though.
Yes. Justin Belmonte with a good run down to the bottom. Magrum's getting away. Bailey goes around, so does Marini, but we got the white flag.
White flag. Yeah, so
side by side for the in-season tournament as well. As Hurdle with a sideways moment too. As Magrum will come around, and he will take the checkered flag in the RepuLinks 150 at the line. Tomlinson is your in-season tournament champion.
Man, oh man, that was right down to the wire. And you were talking about Indy next week. That was Mangrum and Tomlinson at the end there. Mangrum emerges with the win tonight. Tomlinson gets his own measure of a win through the in-season tournament. But tonight, driver 1 is P1 for the first time this season.
He could have waited one more week to end the long winless streak since Indy at Indy and go back-to-back at the Brickyard, but no, he decided tonight was the time to get the job done, and for the first time since June 18th, 2024, Atlanta, Georgia, CD Magrum is back in victory lane.
Yeah, he was able to hang on. I mean, he was running fairly well for the majority of the evening and just ultimately survived the attrition that happened around him effectively, as Tomlinson's going to do his own celebratory burnout. And yeah, that end gap is 0.06 of a second to decide the in-season tournament between Tomlinson and Ercolani, 4th and 5th on track.
So Tomlinson's doing his thing, and his engine just went kaboom.
Yep.
And meanwhile, up here, Magrum getting a little teammate cheer on there from Ty Higginbom. Yes, how about that? Tornado Alley E Racing goes back to victory lane too.
And now the guy we were thinking was going to victory lane, Jordan Kalinian, I've got another update. Lightning took out his monitor and internet. So that explains his sudden disappearance from the race lead. That really opened things up.
So are you telling me I talked about Lightning from Old Home Week, and then that happened to Kalinian?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that would be for those at home, the guy with the Lightning McQueen display photo in our Discord chat talking about Lightning, and it took out our race leader.
There's that. There's what I talked about. And yeah, kaboom.
Yep.
And it ends up with CD Mangrum out of Atlanta, Georgia, breaking a long winless streak, which if I were to somehow put it together here of how long it's been.
A minute.
Yes. I think 17 races without a win. And it doesn't get to 18.
Yeah, that tracks, certainly. I'd have to do a little bit of thinking myself. But oh yeah, I can look at Sim Racer Hub. Duh. Which is where all you can look for tonight's results from a rather wild evening.
And overall points as well. Of course, the graphic that we do post on social media and what we have in all of our live productions as well in the pre-race show presented by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. It's a little different. It plays out a little different based on winners and all that and blah, blah, blah. But anyways, if you are interested in seeing, I guess, how the regular season championship is playing out thus far, then you can go ahead to Sim Racer Hub. And for CD Mangrum, that is career win number 7.
And he's won at least once every season he's been with us. So that maintains that run of consistency as well.
And I believe he becomes the 8th driver all time to reach 7 or more wins in the series. So now he is tied with Ryan Gibson and Jonathan Peden for 6th all time on the wins list.
Impressive feat. I mean, obviously nice to be stacked up with those two drivers, which Mangrum would know very well from past seasons as well. And yeah, you're correct that it was 17 races between, well, tonight would have been race 18 between victories for CD Mangrum, but he got the job done and he survived when it mattered the most.
Indeed he did, and we will head to Discord to chat with, as a matter of fact, it's not going to be just CD Mangrum, but also our in-season tournament winner as well. So when we get in there, we will start with our 4th annual RepuLinks 150 race winner, and then we will go to the driver that by just a couple of feet, maybe about half a car length, he was able to clinch the Forked River Brewing Company in-season tournament in a wild finish, and one that I was really hoping would come together here at the Richmond Raceway, and certainly it played out well. And yeah, Mario Ercolani in the chat congratulating CD Mangrum on his win, and also Tomlinson on a hell of a battle. I mean, to see the two of them come together there to finish out the tournament, and big underdog story for both drivers. Just a chef's kiss, Cinderella story for the ages. Golden finish. Yeah. Icing on the cake.
They gave us a full-on show, especially in stage 3 when, as you say, they came back together on track, and you know what? They battled hard for it, never got into each other once, so fantastic display from those two especially. Shame there could only have been one winner, though.
Exactly. So we will head into Discord now and have a word with tonight's RepuLinks 150 race winner, CD Mangrum.
Yeah, he's coming.
Mr. CD Mangrum, do we have a copy?
Indeed we do.
Well, my friend, it was about 17 races there without a win in between your victory at the Brickyard 1 year ago, and now here tonight you get the job done in what was a wild return to Richmond Raceway for the first time in 2 years, of course, under the lights. Did you at all anticipate that playing out the way it did, and were you at all does this align with your expectations? Were you thinking you had that chance to win, or did this kind of come out of left field and you just snatched it up as soon as, well, Jordan Kalinian kind of had a bit of a technical thing? But anyways, where are you at right now? What's going on in your mind?
Yeah, I'm excited to get the win. Thank you to Nordic Aluminium. We got a win with them again. Sorry to Ireland. I really did kind of miss my breaking point there and got into my. I really do truly hate that, and truly sorry for that. That's very unfortunate for Jordan there, disappearing. I kind of felt like Kyle Larson at Indy, was it last year when Keselowski ran out, and we just had to hit our marks there at the end. When something falls into your lap like that, you got to take advantage. You can't let that one go. That would just be even worse. So real happy to get the win. Again, thank you to Nordic Aluminium being on the car. We got one MP. All the Tornado Alley guys, GTR. I'm really excited to be back up here, get to talk to you, Reeks, and Jordy. I haven't talked to him in a while.
Yeah, bud.
Indeed. And how this race played out here tonight, from the sunset to under the black skies and under the lights here, Richmond Raceway. Some really exciting battles. I know you had a couple fun moments with some drivers throughout the night, and maybe a couple moments a couple moments maybe to take back or whatever, move on from, of course, as well. But just knowing how it all played out and how you were able to hang on throughout the most of it, and some of the incidents as well. It's amazing how we didn't have any big pile-ups throughout the race. A lot of great avoidances, especially by you a couple of times, and as I said, a lot of intense battles. And how this car played out as well, our first time at a short track with this recent next-gen overhaul. Just talk us through this one with the next gen, with the recent updates, and how loose it was throughout the night, how you were able to conquer all those battles, and again, some of those moments you had with some of those drivers too. Take us through it all.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we were fast in qualifying, put it on the front row, and had a good stage 1, track position stage 2 with the tires, just kind of faded back there, didn't manage them well. And we had that moment, I think it was stage 3, I was trying to avoid a wreck, and just kind of straddled the apron and the track there. It got me all out of tried to saved it just enough to keep it off the wall. So we just worked our way back, and after last week, we really had to do some soul searching and really do better this week. I think we spun it out about 8 times last week, so we were able to keep it on track without spinning out ourselves. Good battles across the board. My car personally, it was just kind of tight towards the towards the end of the runs. The center of the turn, it got real tight. I wasn't really super loose in or off. It just got real tight in the center. So we tried to make adjustments, and again, we were there at the end. I'd like to think that we've been there in the mix in the top 5 most races. A couple. Maybe had some trouble. Monza had some trouble, I think. Homestead, I think we had some trouble there. But for the most part, we've been in the mix all year, and so it's just only a matter of time until we broke that winless streak.
And talking strategy, we had a lot of different drivers kind of all over the place with their decisions and when to take 4 tires or 2 tires or fuel or to stay out. A lot of differences between each driver. As it all played out through all the chaos here tonight, was there any pressure, kind of a monkey on your shoulders at any point, or did you get through at ease and kind of everything seemed to align perfectly the way it did? I mean, it did help you get to victory lane, but as the race played out, where were you kind of feeling through all that, and were you feeling confident the whole time? Are there any moments of pressure as all our drivers were taking care of their own different strategies through all these different long runs and cautions?
Yeah, it made for some stressful moments. Just trying to get through traffic, trying to pass. It gets hard, and there's a little give and take throughout. Towards the end, though, it was everybody had to do what they had to do for themselves, and I think we just kind of played the track position game there at the end. I had a set laying in the pits, but I just thought back to Martinsville and how that played out, and so I just figured, I could keep the track position, get a top 5 at least, and just fell in my lap there, and ultimately, we had to do the 2 restarts at the end and lock in and get it done. So, real good to lock in. We've been stacking points all season, so happy to lock in any way I can get it. So.
Jordy, what do you got for CD tonight?
I was going to say, that's how we don't script these interviews, because, Regan pretty much stole everything I was going to ask. But either way, fantastic to talk to you once again, Mr. Mangrum. As you mentioned, it has been a little while. I think first time since we've been on iRacing that this has actually happened. So, Yeah, glad to have this opportunity. And yeah, Regan sort of alluded to it in one of his questions. Obviously, it's been a minute since we've been able to chat, knowing everything that was happening around you, like you mentioned before. Was there that extra little bit of pressure just to make sure that you executed, or was it just a matter of kind of locking in and focusing on just the track ahead?
Yeah, just focus on the track. I know last week I just got real desperate at times, and the car was destroyed at some points. It just didn't work out. This week, yeah, race the track. I feel like that's what you got to do here. You got to save a little tire, but no real pressure to lock in. I mean, we're second in points, but I mean this does go a long way. If we could get in there for the regular season title, I know we were there last season, close to it. So this will go a long way towards it. So I'm excited to go to Indy next week.
Yeah, some
that
good
track.
vibes there for you.
Yeah. Last year we made the move 3 wide, made the move there in turn 4 to get it done. They wrecked behind me, so I think it's a good track. Ran there second in the Indy Series, so I'm excited for that. Real good to get a win though. It does take some pressure off, I will say, Jordy.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of resets things here for you over the next month plus as we go into the playoffs. And you mentioned obviously the good vibes that you have around the Brickyard, and yeah, just kind of
Love the bricks.
thinking about. Yeah. I mean, who doesn't, right? Regardless of the series or discipline. And yeah, I'm trying to figure out where I was going with this. Well, I guess one thing that hasn't really been talked about, like, what was your prep like for this week? Regan obviously mentioned, this is the first time that we've been on a short track since the next gen was pretty much completely overhauled a couple of weeks ago. So maybe offer a little bit of a compare and contrast in terms of the overall feel and the dynamics of the car from what you remember from Richmond previously compared to what you experienced tonight.
Yeah, I had a league race here I think a week ago. So, and it was same weather, same time and stuff. So it's pretty similar. Got great practice there. This weekend we got no practice in. We had all the Tornado Alley guys, all the GTR guys.
Yeah, you did.
We were hanging out. We had a massive cookout, and we went to the Atlanta race. We tore it up there in the stands on the track. We had a great time. That's really what the prep was, And yesterday we took a nap before practice and got a few laps in there, and then just kind of showed up today. So some things just kind of work out,
I mean, absolutely it did tonight. I sort of forgot about that photo that I saw on socials of you and the rest of the boys, which I guess, the cheeky question as a follow-up, you guys weren't trying to emulate what happened at Atlanta tonight, were you?
Hey, my favorite driver broke his winless streak, and I did today, so I guess so.
Hey, good vibes. There you go. Yeah, as I say, Regan had pretty much gone along the same lines as I did earlier, but regardless, really happy to be able to chat with you. Happy that you've kind of taken this step forward that's felt long overdue, quite honestly. And yeah, looking forward to seeing how things go over the next month plus before things really get serious again for playoffs. So well done, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Jordy. Before we do go, I just want to give another thank you to Nordic Aluminum, Tornado Alley, Higgy, Adam, all the GTR guys, Jose, Jay Cuz, Marini's out there, Chewy's out there, Big Bet Beatty, Picola Gator, Butters, all the guys. Shout out to my wife. Shout out to all the fans. Shout out to the admin. Shout out to you guys on the broadcast. The whole Northside Drive, the West End, Zone 4, Bullitt County, everybody back home that supports. I appreciate it.
And I mean, we appreciate what you guys brought to the track here tonight, as I'll go ahead and throw it back to Reeks to put a bow on this thing.
In our interactive live chat throughout this one, you had your support between Mark Flott and JD Magram.
Hey, shout out to everybody down in Bullitt County, Mad Dog, AD, all them guys, the fam. They got to see me win tonight, so that's good. I appreciate them. Shout out to my nephew.
And to wrap this one up, 4 races remaining. Of course, you do have your playoff spot locked up, but you always try to keep those points going and try to have some sort of an advantage going into the 6th annual Earl Ross Cup playoffs. And this will also help build upon the lead that you guys have all together as a group at Tornado Alley Racing as well. But looking at this 4-week stretch here all across July to wrap up the regular season, Indianapolis, Chicago, Darlington, Watkins Glen, kind of one extreme to the next, where you're going from the Brickyard, then to a street course, and then you're going to the Lady in Black in Darlington, then to wrap things up before the playoffs, Watkins Glen. Indianapolis, of course, you're going to try to go back to back there next Monday night. But looking at this next stretch moving forward, again, you do have that locked playoff spot, but how are you looking at this next stretch, knowing how things could play out the rest of the way leading up to the playoffs?
I'm excited for all the tracks, left in the regular season. I think they're all good tracks. Maybe there might be one in there that I might have to get a little bit more laps in, but I'm excited for them.
Indeed. So that is our Prost Race Twitter interview for the 4th annual RepuLinks 150 at Richmond Raceway with Atlanta, Georgia's number 1 CD Magram for Tornado Alley E-Racing in the Nordic Aluminium Toyota, claiming the victory here tonight, and he's the next driver to lock himself into the 6th annual Earl Ross Cup playoffs. Once again, CD, congratulations on the win. Good to talk to you again, and we'll see next Monday if we'll be chatting with you once again, back-to-back years at the Brickyard.
Hey, we'll plan for it. We'll see you guys.
Later, man.
Now, we just got that wrapped up there with C. Magram. I know Mason Tomlinson, our in-season tournament champion, was in there initially. Not sure if he might go back in there at some point. But if he does, then we'll get to that. We'll get through everything else here with our Valvoline Instant Oil Change post-race show. And if at some point we do have a Mason Tomlinson pop up, or someone... Maybe it is communicated to him to head into the chat, then we will head over to that. But of course...
Yeah, he is there, Reeks.
Okay, we will flip back. Well, we're back into Discord anyways, and before we get to this chat here with you, Mason, let me pull up the graphic. There we go. I know you're seeing a Jordy. If Mason, you have the broadcast up on your monitor or wherever in your setup, then you'll be able to see it. But it's not just our race winner tonight we're talking to. It's the champion of the Forked River Brewing Company in-season tournament, the 8th ranked Mason Tomlinson, getting the job done for Eternal Racing and Hyperdrive Esports. Mason, how about that? Just about half a car length or so the difference between you and Mario Ercolani in that final battle for the in-season tournament. You've come all this way so far, and it was that close to settle it all. How you feeling after that one? Did you at all see that coming since the start of the tournament?
No, I didn't. There was a couple guys that would have been tough to beat. They either got wrecked out or missed a race, so there's a little luck involved. But I was just happy that we kept it clean at the end. I was expecting a little bump or something with 2 laps to go, but he kept it clean, and we were able to make it work. It was fun. A lot of respect for that.
Indeed, a very respectful and spirited battle, of course. And this race had its comers and goers. You were one of them. Ercolani was in there as well. Dealing with all the chaos tonight and all the strategies that played out as well. How were you able to capitalize over Mario and able to get yourself up there at the front? Maybe go a little bit in depth. Give us a little insight into how your strategy played out.
Well, before those 2 or 3 cautions at the end, I thought I had it under wraps as long as I stayed out of trouble. And then I felt really good on the long run. I knew short struggle for me. I was a little cautious and every time I'd pull away a little bit from him, there was a caution, and I just kept getting more nervous. And then, of course, you go to the green-white checker, and I was telling my teammate, I was like, oh, I'm going to get a bump here. He's probably going to get it if I don't clear him. And he raced me super clean, and I don't know, those cautions were frustrating at the end. I was looking for a green flag run because I felt I was a top 2 car, 20, 30 laps in. But that's just racing. Sometimes cautions breed more cautions. So
Indeed.
I didn't know if the high line was going to stick at the end there either, if I was going to bounce off the wall because I had dirty air in front of me. And then they slowed down in front of me, and I could have made it run at third, but I had nowhere to go. So I was like, do I just run into him or try to squeeze up in between the wall and take him 3 wide? And I tried that and just stayed in the gas, and I think he got a little loose under me or something, had to lift just a hair, so that helped me out.
And considering the stretch that played it all the way to the very end here of this in-season tournament, Texas, Martinsville, Charlotte, Monza, just talk about how that whole stretch played out and how you were able to get to this point here at Richmond Raceway.
I'm lucky last week at Monza because I got up to 5th or 6th a couple of times and had a run at the top 3 and just spun myself out trying to go too fast, like 15 times, it felt like. So I'm not sure if Bailey would have got me there or not because, I don't know, we've raced each other a couple times, and he's either faster usually or we're pretty damn close. So I don't know what would have happened because I spun out, I don't know, God, probably 10 times at least.
Jordy,
so,
what do you...
the other tracks, it's I don't know. I had some bad luck a little bit. I felt confident a bunch of them. Just was lucky to beat the guy that I was racing against. I had good luck, and they had a little bit of bad, and it worked out.
Jordy, what do you got for Mason?
Yeah, first off, congratulations on getting everything secured here tonight. Now, looking at kind of the overall picture here, it seems like there's something in the water in that particular part of Kansas, whether it's your own success or whether it's everything that Jared Ireland's accomplished over the last couple of years. What is it about? I mean, it's hard to say that virtually, of course, but what is it about, just maybe guys from that area just having that run of success? Is it just, overall passion for what you're doing, or what do you think would be any contributing factor, if anything at all?
Yeah, I'm pretty passionate about this. If I had $1 million, I'd like to be racing cars in real life, but that's just not the case. And racing with all these guys, Jared, Corbin, Kalinian, they just have taught me so much over the last year, because last year I struggled until the second half quite a bit. And they've taught me how to keep the same pace and save your tires a little bit. I could go fast early on last year, but after 10 laps, I'd fall back. And so they've just helped me out a lot, just following them around the track and stuff, learning where I can push the car and without roasting my stuff, And then, getting up front more and on late restarts and going 4 or 5 wide racing clean. You learn a lot up there if you can stay up there. So
yeah. And I mean, you've had this run, obviously there's been a step forward this year as well with the unofficial incorporation of, adding the Eternal Racing guys in here as well. So having that kind of overall group of guys to learn from over the last year and a half, where do you think is kind of that one biggest step that you've taken in order to develop maybe a little bit more consistency and being in more of these battles?
Staying calm when things don't go your way or you feel like you're erased the wrong way or something. Instead of letting your emotions get you, you just maybe give them that little bit of extra room, even if you lose a couple spots, but you keep your car clean and then you get back after it, hoping it works out. And I think staying calm and not getting frustrated is a big part of it. That, and then just this track position is so key in every track. And if you can find your way up to the top 10, top 5, you're in a good spot as long as you make it to the restart.
Yeah. And so talking of track position, this is something that CD Magram actually brought up in his winter interview as well, not wanting to give up that track position in those final couple of restarts. Did you have another set of tires available, or were you on your last set and you were just kind of hanging on at the end?
I had another set. I was getting real nervous if everyone's going to pit behind me or not, because I didn't want to be the only car on old tires with CD. But I mean, you got to stay out unless it's obvious, you know. But I had an extra set for sure, saved at the end, and I almost didn't pit when Ray stayed out. I saw CD going and Jordan. I said, if they go, I'm going, and he decided not to, and it ended up helping me out because he had to pit. I think he even got spun. Those old tires might have been the reason, you know. So, plus it was barely past the fuel mark, and plus you're able to save a bunch under all those cautions. But I had one set left.
Yeah, I mean, all valid considerations there. And my last question, just to sort of expand on something you said there, obviously, you know, that's where the strategic part of it comes in, kind of playing chicken with the other drivers, so to speak, in terms of who's going to pull the trigger and go in or who's going to stay out. So and you talked about, you know, not letting your emotions get the best of you at these points compared to maybe last season. How are you able to kind of hold your nerve in those situations and sort of stick to your guns in terms of what you want to do?
It depends, you know. Like if you know you're faster than a guy and they're just racing you hard, if you're able, you got to give it up a little bit, because sometimes if you don't lift at all, you'll both wreck, and sometimes other people aren't aware of that. And so then you just got to regather your stuff, get your momentum up, and get back after it. And hopefully they make a mistake, or you just find yourself in a good spot where you can pass them. But if, you know, there's a lot of blocking, and everyone's pretty competitive in this league, and sometimes that gets to me. But you just got to take a deep breath and try not to wreck anybody, and, you know, save that retaliation for the end if you have to, instead of doing it with 100 to go.
Well, I mean, we've certainly seen the difference over the last season plus. So kudos to you for digging in the way you were able to tonight. And hopefully this is a bit of a springboard for you moving forward. It looks like you're tracking toward a playoff spot here as well. So good luck over the next month, as I'll go ahead and throw it back over to Regan.
I can only imagine how much of a stepping stone, how much momentum this is going to give you now to trying to pick up that first career win on the series. I mean, your finishes as of recently have been, you know, speaking volumes. I mean, that's now 4 top 10s in a row for you, 2 top 5s within the last 3 races. Now heading into this final stretch here, where in overall points, you're starting to slowly jump your way up through there. Indianapolis is coming up next Monday night, and then it's on to, of course, Chicago, Darlington, and Watkins Glen to wrap up the regular season ahead of the 6th annual Earl Ross Cup playoffs. How are you going to try to use this momentum, this in-season tournament championship, to carry yourself forward and keep up this recent success of yours into the rest of the regular season, and hopefully be able to secure that playoff spot and maybe even pick up that first win?
It's so tough to win in this league, man. I was sniffing it tonight. Like I said, if it would have went green earlier on, I might have had a shot. I think I got second at Indy last year on a crazy last lap, so I'm looking forward to that track. I like that a lot, and we got some good tracks coming up. So I'm just going to try to qualify well and practice a little bit, and hopefully I can be up there when it matters.
Sounds good. Again, that was the number 4 of Mason Tomlinson at Eudora, Kansas for Hyperdrive Esports and Eternal Racing, picking up the Forked River Brewing Company in-season tournament championship. He was 8th ranked going in, and how about that for a storybook ending and a great battle with Mario Ercolani, of course, to Mario as well. Congrats on second place there, a spirited battle to end this one off. Mason, congratulations, and hopefully sometime down the line we'll be chatting with you again after you claim your first career victory.
Thank you, guys. Yep, that's the plan. Just got to stay clean. So looking forward to it.
For sure. Take care. Congrats again.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, guys.
and thus a bit of a rarity, almost given night to expect one driver to be spoken to, unless maybe, again, it is the championship finale where you have the race winner and the Earl Ross Cup champion. But tonight it was the race winner and the Forked River Brewing Company in-season tournament champion, C.D. Mangrum, winning at Richmond, and Mason Tomlinson hanging on over Mario Ercolani to win the in-season tournament. But now here in our Valvoline Instant Oil Change post-race show, let's recap tonight's unofficial results for the 4th annual RepuLinks 150. Starting off, of course, C.D. Mangrum picking up the win on that final green-white checkered overtime restart. Justin Belmonte, Blake Thronberg rounding out the podium. And for Blake Thronberg, that would be, that's a 3-race streak there of no top 10s now turning into his first top 5 since Homestead Miami Speedway, and first podium since then as well. He finished 3rd back in round number 3, and now car number 3 finishes number 3 again here at Richmond Raceway. Of course, Tomlinson, Mario Ercolani right there. It was a difference of 0.060, I believe, was the difference there. So 60 hundredths, 600ths, however you put it mathematically, being the difference between the 4 and the 29 for the in-season tournament championship. Jose Mercado, strong run. We saw him get loose there at a corner number 2 at one point, or it was through turns 1 and 2 at one point, but he was able to hang on for a strong finish. Jared Ireland was able to bounce back from a late incident for 7th. Kyle Knoll with a decent run throughout the night, had a couple run-ins with some drivers, including a race winner. Funny enough, he comes home 8th. Raymond Hanneman, through all the chaos there towards the end of that one, he still came home with a top 10 finish. Rounding at the field, you had at the top of the top 10, C.D. Mangrum, your race winner, and at the bottom, your next best finishing Tornado Alley E-Racing driver in Ty Higginbottom. The rest of the way from 11th through 20th, Dan Cudmore fell one position short of another top 10 finish on the year. He gets it ahead of Andy. He gets 11th ahead of Andy Hurdle, Darcy 4th, 13th, Tom Janikowski 14th, Mark Goulet top 15 finish, not too bad for him. Mike Marini, the last car in the lead lap in 16th, and then one lap down each is Scott Bailey and Adam Wilson. We know how chaotic of a night it was for Scott Bailey. And then Jordan Kalinian was right there, ready to pick up yet another win on the season, and then Lightning decided to just zap his monitor. And then Corbin McCauley eliminated early in this one. That's back-to-back races. Uncharacteristic results for car 17, just things that did not go his way. And to round it all out there, the first driver out of the race and finishing last in the 21-car field, the number 16 of Ryan O'Toole, still looking for another strong run since his 3rd-place finish back at the GTR 250 at Daytona. So back into the broadcast booth here for one final time with Jordy Carraher. Tonight's race, the way it played out, did it all align with what you were thinking, what your vision was, or was it completely different? Because for me, it kind of was like that, especially going into this one, first time on a short track with this recent next-gen overhaul on the iRacing service. I thought it was going to be maybe a little bit more spread out, maybe a little bit more kind of tough to pass and it'd be tight and all that, but no, it was almost the exact opposite. We had cars getting loose, a lot of different strategies at play, multiple cautions throughout the race, had to end with an overtime restart. C.D. Mangrum pulling off a win to end his long drought since last season. Like the way things shook out, man, oh man, what a race that was.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of everything there, didn't we? I mean, you alluded to maybe expecting things to be a little more spread out. Certainly the first stage felt a little bit more spread out, and parts of stage 2 there as well. It seemed like guys were largely in single file formation around the track. But yeah, I think there was still maybe a little bit of a learning curve in terms of getting used to these new models on the short track configuration, and not having as much reaction time, not as much room for error when things went down. And obviously I did kind of have a stop-start nature in mind toward the end. Again, as you said, not as bad as it was at times at Martinsville a few weeks back, but yeah, it was hard for drivers to get into a bit of a rhythm, and I think they'd acknowledge that as well. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn in saying that.
No.
In saying that, we did wind up with, once things really opened up in stage 3, whenever we did have green flag laps, it got fun. So I think if we're going to use that as a springboard looking at Indy next week and then the rest of the regular season, like obviously different sets of challenges, but at the same time, if guys are getting a little more comfortable, that means they're going to take more chances. And yeah, this might be, now that we've had sort of the 3 different configurations, now there might be a little bit more familiarity that comes into play. And now guys might feel a little more comfortable out there moving forward. And we might see the byproduct of that next week.
Indeed, we may so. That wraps up the month of June, and of course, that portion having the Fort River Brewing Company in season tournament. Now into the month of July, we're 4 Mondays in a row, 4 races left in the regular season for season 6 of the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series on iRacing. The lead up to the playoffs starting on August 4th at Bristol Motor Speedway. This upcoming stretch begins with the APR Racing presents the 200 at the Brickyard, another crown jewel race on the season here for the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series. Of course, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, we all know it for the Brickyard 400, and then in IndyCar, of course, the Indianapolis 500 as well. So next Monday night on July 7th, coverage beginning 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Atlantic, live on our YouTube channel, live coverage at the Brickyard, basically the half Brickyard 400 in a way, just like how we had the 300 back at Charlotte compared to the real life Coca-Cola 600, World 600, however you want to put it. But Jordy, back to Indianapolis, the Brickyard. We're going to find out who will kiss the bricks next Monday night. Could it be C.D. Magrum once again? We know how that finish played out in last year's running of this race. 3 wide down the backstretch, C.D. Magrum, Corbin McCauley, and my memory's not coming through with the third driver exactly. I think it might have been Jordan Kalinian, but regardless, remember last year's finish? Now we're going back here with a lot more stacked of a field for season number 6 compared to season number 5. And it's one of those races that is just right there, getting close to that cutoff there between the regular season and the playoffs. This could be a classic.
Well, I mean, you just gave the classic reference to kissing the bricks there. That finish last year had me shitting bricks at points. So I think, we could be in, I wouldn't be surprised if we're in for something similar this year, but guys have already alluded to it in the background here. They're, I think, more willing to get, maybe more willing to take chances. Stakes get a little bit higher with each passing week. We'll see how that all shakes out. Not to mention one Bryce Fontaine coming back as well.
Yes.
And notably with the updated points, which I think we'll be expecting tomorrow. If my calculations are right, he's got to fight to get his lock back.
Yeah, and as
Looks
long
like
as
he'll
he's
slot in around 21st.
Again, as long as he comes back and stays, in perfect attendance all the way up until the regular season comes to an end, as long as he gets up above 20th, pulling off another win would be the perfect way to do that, of course. And his next chance will come at Indianapolis Motor Speedway next Monday night. So Indianapolis, the streets of Chicago, Darlington, and Watkins Glen up next to wrap up the regular season. You can see it now in the graphic up on our screen. This upcoming stretch, starting with Indy, it's going to get crazy, as we'll see if we have a couple more drivers that may end up winning their way into the playoffs, and then we'll see how much more it decreases that little bubble there towards the 12th and final playoff spot. Again, going into tonight at Richmond, it was a 10-point bubble between 4 drivers. We'll see how it plays out when the points are all updated in the coming days. Of course, stay tuned to our social media pages and the Sim Racer Hub for when that is updated, so you can stay caught up on how Season 6 is going here within the E-Motorsports Network and the NASCAR Series on iRacing. Anything you got, Jory, to wrap this one up after tonight and going into next week?
No, I think, everything we saw on track tonight kind of spoke for itself. We got a fantastic ending to the in-season tournament. We got, the kind of chaos you would expect at a short track. And, we got ourselves a bit of a grandstand finish. So ultimately, it might have looked a little messy at times, but there are plenty of positives to take away from tonight. And I think, if we look at the classic venue known as the Brickyard for next week, I think there's plenty to look forward to. And it's going to be kind of a reset for everyone.
For sure, it will be. Again, the Amara Parker Racing presents the 200 at the Brickyard next Monday night, July 7th, live here on the E-Motorsports Network YouTube channel. We'll have all the live coverage for what will no doubt be an instant classic in our next crown jewel race for season number 6. But for tonight, that's going to do it for live coverage of round number 10 on the season, the 4th annual RepuLinks 150 at Richmond Raceway, our first trip to there in 2 years. Congratulations to the number 1 of Atlanta, Georgia, CD Mangrum for Tornado Alley E-Racing, picking up career win number 7 in the E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series, the next driver to lock himself into the 6th annual Earl Ross Cup playoffs. And another big congratulations to Mason Tomlinson at Eudora, Kansas for Hyperdrive Esports, winning the championship for the Forked River Brewing Company in season tournament. So on behalf of myself, Regan McCauley, and Jordy Carraher, the voices of the E-Motorsports Network, the competition committee, sponsors, partners, everyone involved in making this happen, we'd like to thank each and every one of you for tuning in to another live production of the E-Motorsports Network on iRacing. We will see you all once again next Monday night, July 7th, when we return to the Brickyard. Until then, that was another edition of E-Motorsports Network Monday Madness.